Ooh, I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it. Fuse like a magnet. Lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket. I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. I'm never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same. Cause that's what it takes.
Yeehaw! What's up, partners? What's up, May? Happy May 31st. Happy settlement objection period ending date.
Finally.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
I see Corax just joined in too. Let me bring him in the chat. Corax, how you doing, buddy?
Not too bad. Don't get too excited yet. We still have like 40 minutes, right?
Okay, yeah, 11:59 Eastern. So you're right. But you know, look, anyone can send in objections. I've provided as many times as I can to folks the instructions for filing your objection and urge them not to wait on a postcard. That was a red herring put out by the clickbait channels that you had to wait for your postcard. At any rate, May, I brought you on tonight because a couple weeks ago, around May 15th or so, a bunch of due diligence or what's the right word? Evidence was dropped on AMC's website, unredacted for the most part. Yeah. And I read through it that morning, and I quickly told folks that I had read through it, and I didn't, everything that I saw in those 900 pages, and I read through all of it, except I was able to skip some of the financial analysis from outside entities because we look at the financial analysis literally every day. I don't need a 2-year recap from some other company. But what I saw was that, in my opinion, and I want to hear from you because you did a deep dive and posted it on Twitter today.
I went a little nuts, but you know
what I saw was that everything that Adam Aaron's been saying publicly was very congruent with the board meeting minutes and the secret emails. So tell us what you saw.
Okay, so you got the better version because there is a lot of redacted stuff now on that because I think they reposted 520.
Okay.
Stuff.
Well, I mean, there was a little bit redacted, but compared to the information that we had previous to that, it was a whole ton of new info.
Oh yeah, no, that's true. There's like 928 pages. Ultimately, there are quite a few redactions in it, but it doesn't matter because the bulk of it shows pretty clearly what's going on. Like I can't imagine that the redacted stuff would change my mind, but like you said, there's so much in it, but most of it really shows that I think the major thing that it shows is they had no understanding that when APE came out, that the shorts would go so aggressively at it. I think that's where they miscalculated. And as a result, the shorts not only have kind of pretended like that isn't true, but have used that in every which way was to like describe something that is totally not. I mean,
hit us with a couple bullet points that stood out to you that I've talked about this briefly over the past couple of weeks, but I want to hear from you. Hit us with a couple bullet points in your brain that stood out to you that said this was not a plan to help the shorts. APE.
Oh, there's more than one email/memo that, provided you don't have a jargon issue, which apparently a lot of the shorts do, it says really clearly that they were doing the APE issuance in an effort to force a share count on the FTDs, to force the AMC folks to have to cover the AMC shorts to cover. Like there's more than one spot where it shows it pretty clearly. One just shows that both the bankers, the Citi bankers in the presentation to the board, as well as in emails previous to, they thought that when they issued the dividend, that given the way that it was done, there would be no one to lend out the APE stock. And so AMC shareholders would have to buy that. AMC shareholders that were short would have to buy the APE somehow in the aftermarket, and there wouldn't be anything to buy. Like, that's one thing. And then another thing is there's a whole memo where, you know, Adam Aaron is asked to reword it so it doesn't look like he's doing it just to try to get the shorts to cover.
I remember reading one sentence in the board meeting minutes or the presentation from Citibank, I forget which one, where they were talking about they saw a scenario where by issuing APE they could put pressure on shorts. Right?
Yeah.
Do you remember reading that?
Yeah, there was a presentation on it, and then it was in the board minutes where one shareholder was like, "Can you remove the language that suggests that we're just trying to get the shorts to cover?"
Yeah, that could get them in a little bit of SEC trouble if they
There's been other companies that have been trying to do that where they've been told by the SEC, could you maybe not do that?
But, you know, overarchingly, I saw zero text in any of the board minutes or the emails that said we're doing this to help the shorts. It was quite the opposite.
No, it's totally the opposite.
If you can actually be bothered to go read the documents,
yeah,
you can. Everything is there for you to read. Of course, you know, I know, May, when you're talking about shorties, you're talking about all the trolls on Twitter and YouTube and stuff like that. You don't actually mean hedge funds.
No, I'm honestly, like, I'm starting to wonder if it even is hedge funds. Like, is it just one specific guy that has trying to manipulate people so he can cover his short, or what exactly?
Oh, I'm sure. Look, it's very coordinated what multiple parties are doing.
Yeah.
They all drop the same videos and the same DD at the same time. And I know they have their little circle of chat and phone conversations and stuff, but someone is giving one person in that group information, and then they all share it out at the same time. So it seems very coordinated. I don't think they all realize that they're party to this this misinformation campaign. A lot of them actually have good intentions, but they're being duped.
I agree with you. What do you think, Corax? Is that your thoughts too? What do you think?
I mean, that's just sort of the thing that I've been noticing is, like, there's a lot of people that I've been following on it that have they're kind of in the group, and they have a good goal in mind, but not all of them are the best actors when they're doing things. I have some names that I could name, but we'll keep it.
We'll try to be polite.
Correct.
I've already been unpolite enough about them on my channel.
Correct. Let's just let you talk for a minute, and I want you to talk about our friend Al. I'm gonna fucking because here's the thing. Almost nothing that guy puts out is factually or intellectually or financially correct. It's all the opposite. I mean, I could rebut everything he says in about 5 seconds of listening to him. And I'm not saying that to be, you know, hoity or haughty or whatever the word is. I'm just saying it's so factually incorrect to anybody who knows anything about markets or finance or law. What are your thoughts, though? I don't want to preload you. You're your own person. Tell us.
Yeah, no, I got my fill of him with his last filing that luckily I didn't have to, like, pay, you know, an arm and a leg to File and Serve Express to see his 300-page diatribe. I managed to find it elsewhere, but it is just like, it is the level of conspiracy theory that, you know, you would find in, like, you know, 9/11 truther circles kind of things, the interweb of connecting people that are supposedly all conniving together to destroy AMC shareholders. It's pretty, I wouldn't call it amazing. It definitely numbs the brain.
Have you seen any of this, May? May?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I put myself on mute. I haven't.
All right, so May. I'm gonna share with you real quick a couple things that happened this week over on that other channel that were just really a travesty of misinformation. He made multiple videos talking about related party transactions, and his interpretation of the SEC, FINRA accounting rules on related party transactions. Here's his takeaway, May. Every transaction that happens with AMC, Adam Aron and his sons get a personal cut. That's his definition of what RPTs
he thinks it's some
are.
scheme where it's pay to play for every transaction that they get people to do. Him and his friends and his family and everyone get a cut.
Now, May, are you comfortable talking about what the definition of RPT is, or do we?
I don't think I knew. What is that? What are they trying to say? What does that stand for? Because sometimes people make up new acronyms.
Related party transactions, know, in every quarterly filing, company has to disclose if they had a transaction where somebody could materially gain that was a related party, which is typically a entity that owns over 5%, or it could be a family member. Right?
It could be a vendor too, right? I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's disclosed going back to the beginnings of time in every one of AMC's 10Qs. And they updated some wording in their definition. AMC did, just their internal guidance.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, and Al tried to say that, oh, now they're updating their wording because Adam Aron paid off his sons as part of this whole deal, which is like just a complete misdirection for his audience of what actually was going on. The industry standard definition of related party transactions is easily Googleable, if that's a word, and it's always included the word family members. And moreover, AMC
always family members, 100%.
It's in every 10Q going back to the beginning of time.
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous.
I mean, to me, the most common context for related party transactions, and I think both of you guys, Corex, I'm still getting to know you a little bit better, but my suspicion is both of you guys in your personal lives, completely separate from AMC, know like related party transaction, usually the most common place where people get whammied is when they have a family member that takes a big contract off of the company. That's where I usually
work for like a brokerage firm, and you can't do anything with it.
That does not exist in any of AMC's related party transactions.
There's like nothing going on with AMC. Plus, it's a theater. I mean,
right. I mean,
that's a popcorn vendor, maybe.
Al's making these allegations, almost on a daily basis, that Adam Aron and his family are getting paid off on each step of this deal. And that's why they had to put this wording about RPTs in the 10Qs.
Oh.
But this is a serious SEC violation if you don't disclose something.
Yeah.
And moreover, they're disclosed every quarter. You just got to look at the filings. There's been none of what he's alleging. So it's like take one data point and jump to a completely different continent with your conspiracy theory. Instead of talking about logical flow and how the market works, he just reads something and creates a conspiracy theory out of thin fucking air.
Well, what was funny was the one that I pointed out on Twitter where he was talking about in his 300-page diatribe. Oh, well, if you look at Alleghany's filings, it shows that they completely got rid of their AMC position before the settlement. And I was like, hold up, wait a second, what? And so I scroll all the way down to his exhibits that he has down at the bottom, and he has the screen caps from their filings to the, because it's pension fund, they have to disclose it to their holders, and it was their top 10 positions list. I'm like, dude, it's not there because it's not a top 10 position anymore.
Right. I figured that out back in February. Like anybody who's used to reading those type of tables could figure that out in about 2 seconds. But he's just now looking at it now and interpreting it incorrectly on top of it.
I feel like people are just learning. And part of me is kind of like, if you would just take a second in your learning process and not present it as fact, but just be like, that's a curiosity. I have a question. You might be better off. But yeah, I actually think the slide that's the craziest that went around was the one where they're taking the Citibank slide and it says potential investor considerations.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can I share my screen really quick? Or?
Yep.
Okay, I think I have it here. Let me see. Yeah. So this one, and they're like, this proves that they were trying to do something wrong with the APE shareholders. And I'm like, actually, this slide does literally the exact opposite. It tells you that, like, on the top one on index funds, that they thought that because no one would be able to lend on that top part, that there would be no way to short the APE shares. And that in the middle part, it tells you that they thought that no one would be able to because the index funds wouldn't be the holders of the APE shares, the AMC shorts would have a tough time delivering the APE shares. And then it then again says again at the bottom that they thought that in issuing the APE shares and creating this complexity administratively for those that were short beyond the fail to deliver, that the brokers would be frustrated and they would just force everyone to cover their shorts by I probably implied in this is they would either increase the borrow or just call up, and tell them they don't have a borrow and they have to come up with the locate on their own. So, like, literally every part of this slide is the exact opposite of proof that there was any kind of weird situation going on. And I saw it reposted so much that I was like, let me double check the context. And so
the unfortunate thing, May, is the people that are bought into the conspiracy theory channels, no amount of showing them evidence or discovery like this is going to change their mind. But, there might be a couple people on the fence. Like, is this, which bit of information am I supposed to believe? I would say if it's in evidence submitted by the plaintiff as actual board meeting minutes, that is going to be taken as fact by the court.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if you guys want to create your own theories that completely contradict what was right there in black and white, then this is probably not the right channel for you. Just stay on the conspiracy theory channels. But we are going to provide you the information to help you kind of wade through your, what's bullshit and what is fact. And that's why all of these objections, for the most part, that are being submitted are just getting smacked down. There were some updates in the past couple of days. Corex, do you want to run over them real quick?
There's a couple here. Let me look at the docket. We had of course, the thing that happened today where they settled the Rosa Izzo situation with one of the plaintiffs dropping, and Chancery Daily had a really good article about why that's not a big deal, guys. If someone wants to leave so long as there's still people that represent the class. In fact, the whole class could exit out from underneath, but so long as the leadership structure remains in place.
Let's give a quick recap of Mr. Munoz. What's going on with that because I don't think I've really talked about it in the last week, but he basically disappeared. He was one of the
ghosted plaintiff's counsel on May 20th, and they tried contacting him because they had gone ahead. They went ahead and filed all the papers and everything and couldn't get a hold of him. So they're like, oh, well, we'll get this, information together and put it on there, and we'll just assume we'll get it later. And then he didn't answer their calls, and he didn't answer their emails, and he didn't anything.
Apparently he was the largest shareholder of all the plaintiffs too, which is really strange.
And so he just up and ghosted them. And then Miss Izzo, who I think has been the most competent of the objectors, because she actually went out and got counsel to come help her and go through the documents and everything. And all these people complaining about, oh, I don't have enough time to go through the documents. Well, Izzo Rose got a lawyer, and they got through the documents in less than a week and got right on top of it and was like, hey, so this thing here, we're missing an affidavit in support from one of the plaintiffs here. What's going on, guys? And then suddenly plaintiff's counsel files, oh, we're pulling them. And they're like, whoa, wait, what? Come back on that one again.
Are you up to speed with what's going on with Munoz, May?
No, I wasn't paying attention to that one, but
he was a plaintiff. He disappeared. One of the other parties in the lawsuit said, hey, where'd this guy go? Why wasn't his affidavit filed? Correct me if I say anything wrong. And so his counsel, Munoz counsel, was trying to reach out to him, and he wouldn't answer any phone calls, emails, nothing.
And
So-
plaintiff's counsel in turn wasn't returning information to Miss Izzo's counsels. They're going, Vice Chancellor, we got a problem here.
So they're trying to have him, or maybe they already did, have him removed as a plaintiff because he's not a party to the lawsuit and he's not answering anybody.
Yeah.
But now the new conspiracy theory is he was a paid plant and now he's been paid off to disappear. Like,
yeah, but
literally whatever theory you can make up with no evidence is it's running on two legs out there on YouTube land.
That were written in were really funny. Actually, it's, like if you can get past the fact that this is costing shareholders a bunch of money, some of the emails are funny.
They are.
Like I can't remember, there was one where it's just like it literally read like a very angry Twitter post, and that was it. There was no additional anything. It was just
yeah, but Vice Chancellor Zern also ruled on it. She said, as far as demanding deposition of Mr. Munoz, that's been denied. Extension, 3-day extension to the end of the week, denied, but they will hold in abeyance until Mr. Munoz can be properly served. And if they still can't get a hold of him, then yes, they will let that go.
So if I'm not mistaken, there were several people asking for an extension to the objection deadline of May 31st. They were asking for 3 days, 15 days. All those got denied.
2 weeks. Right? Yeah.
Today was the last day. You got
now
21 minutes to get your email in.
Now, given not that I think it's going to go anywhere, but he which one was it that was asking for the 14 days? I think that was Mr. Special Master's Report. Oh, that was Mr. Affolter. Yes. Filed to for exceptions to the Special Master's Report. That I don't think is going anywhere. He hasn't, I don't think he's added anything that would contribute to changing anyone's opinion on that one.
I have a question for the two of you, because I feel like one of the two of you posted this lawsuit is going to be paid for how? Because I saw it in the earnings and I was like, how is this it's like almost $100 million that we have to spend on it.
Well, that's the tricky issue. It's shared distribution, and that's why they're having to fight the insurance company, because the insurance company doesn't want to pay out. It's like, it wasn't a cash distribution, it was a share distribution. So therefore we owe you nothing. And that's why they're fighting the insurance company on that.
Basically, May, we're paying ourselves. That's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
So that 100, AMC's going to have to pay it. The shareholders are going to have to pay it.
Yeah. I mean, AMC's paying it to the shareholders, but who is that hurting while it's helping?
Oh, no. I mean, because the 100 million is mostly the shares.
Well, and the 100 million, it was quoted at 125 million at the time, but you have to understand how they're calculating that.
I see. Okay.
It's based on you have to understand the arbitrage play that's going on here. How it's happening is they're giving basically a split to it would be like a normal split to AMC shareholders, but the APE shareholders aren't getting it. So basically it's extracting value from, so AMC shareholders, the price goes down, their share count goes up, their total value remains the same. But for APE shareholders, price go down, you aren't getting the split. So price just go down, ouch. And so it's not so much a distribution to shareholders that's a benefit. It's just basically like they're punitively slapping the would-be arbitrage players, except the arbitrage players like me are hedged on both ends, so we lose nothing.
I mean, it looks like we're just trying to change the conversion ratio without changing the conversion ratio.
Yeah,
so
pretty much.
May, or someone's asking if you can fix the resolution on your camera.
What's going on that my resolution is
Yeah, because you're at like 420.
All right, let me see what's going on here. Oh, that's so weird. You're right. Okay, is that better? Thanks, guys. Sorry about that. It's now at the full high def, but
I got Sufyan in the chat. Sufyan, are you going to explain to us? I'll send you a call-in number if you are you going to explain to us how the the share distribution is going to be accounted for in the books. Is that what you're wanting to come on and talk about? If so, let me know and I'll send you a call-in number.
I don't know why it's not doing it any better, but that's I've got the settings. Sorry, I'm so blurry, guys.
But yeah, basically, as far as the distribution, it's kind of, and what's going to be really crazy is that, and I pointed out this argument in a video I did, is like when it comes time that the ruling comes out, and if Vice Chancellor Zern says, yes, we're approving the settlement, that arbitrage is going to like close like really fast or get really close. And so really the value to shareholders, because they still have to wait to do the settlement thing, is going to get really small, which if you want to object to how much the lawyers are getting paid, like you're okay with the settlement, but you don't think that the lawyers should be getting, like 20 million or whatever. Yeah. It's a good argument to bring up that unless they fix it a certain way or do something, the actual settlement benefit to shareholders is going to be small.
Let's talk about, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but Mr. Tuttle, we've been wondering for many weeks what was the status of his standing with the court, and he did get denied this week.
Yes. I think I finally figured out the whole standing thing, because it came up in the motion in opposition that I had mentioned to you. Where at the end of Mr. Tabor's opposition down there at the bottom, it says, hey, by the way, the court has been telling everybody that they're not a party to the settlement. Maybe all of us people who are pro se aren't parties to this, and only the named plaintiffs and named defendants are what the court considers parties. So we should probably all just shut up and go back to our corners and color in the lines.
Was that your summary, or is that what an attorney
That's
said?
my summary. That's probably what the court thinks the summary should be. If they could, if they didn't have to be a nice person, they'd probably just say, if you all would just color in the lines, we'd appreciate it.
But the stuff he's writing is pretty nonsense, if I read it correctly.
Yeah, well.
Not to be mean, but I don't know another way to describe it.
I can tell you guys, because I chat with him on DMs from time to time. I
blocked him. I got tired of his.
Well, I mean, he's very confident in his belief, so that's what I wanted to say. Mm-hmm. Whether I just try not to engage in that, because the court is the only one that's going to be able to tell him if he's correct or not. He said that. Talking with me, I invited him to come on the live stream. He said it would be like trying to explain it to a kindergartner, even though I can read.
Says the guy who's 0 for 3 in front of the court.
Yeah, I mean, I can read his motions just fine, and I've always thought that they were a little bit shaky. But rather than debate someone, I offered to come let him explain his position, and unfortunately, he couldn't do it because he had pending litigation. So. Looks like he's off the case now, and he messaged me today that he's filing another objection. Surprise! So we're not.
Best of luck.
He's not done yet.
I'll get a bag of popcorn and a nice can of beer, and snicker in the corner.
It says I've got I posted these documents in my Discord early this morning. The special master said Mr. Tuttle's been afforded adequate time to raise concerns in the form of an objection before May 31st. And because his motion to intervene is denied, she says, I do not reach for his declaratory relief.
Which he was going to lose on anyway. We explained that last time.
So
I found his original document of what his issue was, because I remember reading it and just thinking,
he misreads 242B.
Yeah, and he will vehemently argue that, and I'm fine with him having his own opinion, but I've stated from day one my reading of 242B, and I think the court is going to find exactly the way that I interpret it is going to be why this settlement or outright dismissal happened at the end of June. And obviously Tuttle and Allegheny disagreed. That's why we have a lawsuit, and that's fine. You know, everybody's entitled to their opinion. That's why we have a court system. But Allegheny realized early on that that dog was not going to hunt.
Yeah.
That's why they went to a settlement.
Yeah. It might have been able to play out with the Blase's claims, but then again, that would require AMC to not be on like very, very shaky ice, which is why they went to settlement too, is just like continuing this litigation. Like I've said in many of my videos, like if they continued this litigation, they would simply just move the lawsuit from the Delaware Court of Chancery to the Delaware Bankruptcy Court, and no one would win.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. May, I haven't heard from you yet. I've stated my analysis of the financial statements, the negative $1 billion working capital. There's all sorts of ratios and things that we could cherry pick, or a tweet. Oh, our concessions were really good this weekend. Like you can cherry pick things, guys. But I look at the overall financials and the trajectory of cash and my forecast of what's going to happen the rest of this year. May, what are your thoughts on all of the numerous references in that 900 pages that you read about AMC saying they might go bankrupt? Because there's people that still don't believe that.
Well, they definitely needed the APE capital raise in December. That was so bad. I mean, like that one, I posted the slide that's associated with what they had even projected the previous year and what the cash burn would be. So that one, if anyone's arguing they didn't need the cash in December, that you don't have really a lot to stand on.
They knew in early 2021 that they were going to need cash by end of 2022.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every forecast is there showing exactly why they started planning, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that part unambiguous. Whether or not they need to do another capital raise, you know, I don't. Okay, this one I'm like neutral. Okay, and the reason I'm neutral is only because the reason I'm neutral is because technically, if they're free cash flow positive this quarter and next quarter, they could run it really thin. They could really, you know, they could run it in a kind of what I would consider a little bit of a scary way and just try to skate through. Wouldn't be the first business to do that in the history of doing business. You know, and I kind of understand the reasons why they might, because, you know, it really depends. So when I'm looking at everybody's work on this that I've read, including what Mr. Aaron has guided for the year, there's a certain thought process surrounding the movies coming out, you know, and there's a certain threshold that it'll be above that allows most of the theaters to be cash flow positive, which is how he gets the cash flow positive. And that's beautiful how it's written in the 938 pages. There's one slide where he really goes through that. If anything goes wrong, though, that would really not be great for this company. And I think everybody that's ever been in a position where they had to like deal with the financing of a very tightly financed company is going to be like, be nice to have a little extra money.
That's kind of the whole point that I'm harping on. Like we could make it till the end of this year and not run out of cash. We might get down below 100 million if we don't do a cash raise. But if anything goes wrong, they're screwed. And so I think, May, and you and I exchanged a couple email DMs, but I didn't get to really hear your thoughts on this. I was just thinking that the board and the finance team at AMC are like, we don't need to run it that close because that is very dangerous. And the shorts are going to just eat our lunch in the news talking about us running out of cash.
Yeah. You know what? I really go down the middle on this because I think it kind of depends on how much cash he makes, like, you know, on this quarter. You know, by the end of this quarter, I'll have a much more definitive answer because we'll know what this quarter looks like. I think next quarter is also projected to be pretty strong given the number of movies that are coming out. Do you know what I mean? So
not by our calculations.
Oh, you think the third quarter is going to be rough?
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, yeah, he probably doesn't need the cash.
Q3 will be rough, and Q4 they have a chance of Q4 will be better than Q3.
Okay. I was thinking Q3 might be okay because it includes the summer months, and you never know with the summer months somehow.
We're looking at all the movies that are coming out by month, and we're trying to overlay against all those movies by month or by quarter the industry expectations that the domestic box office will be 9 to 10 billion.
Yeah.
So we have to bucketize them by quarter to figure out how do we make that work? How do you take 10 billion and line it up with these movies? And our analysis right now is showing Q3 being weaker relative to Q2 and Q4.
Okay. And that's the other thing too, is 10 billion isn't like 10 billion is the estimate that allows them to skate through. They really kind of need it to go back to historic levels.
We have to make almost $2 billion in the next, this last 5 weeks to get to 10 billion. It's looking like this quarter is not going to hit my high end optimistic.
I see. So it's kind of like, yeah.
Because for me, high end was going to be 3.3 billion domestic box office in Q2, and we're not.
Right.
It's looking rough. Like we're probably not going to get there.
Are you guys both thinking they'll be cash flow positive, or how are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I think we have a chance of even being positive EPS this quarter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
I think the company could book some cash in Q2.
I'm a bit more skeptical on that, but at the same time, I might, at least until we figure out how much shares are going to be released in the market after this, I'm going to do the arbitrage play, and then I'm just going to patiently wait this out and see where things play after.
Yeah.
That, and it's really hard to get involved into really any company when the government is really willing to give me 4.25% on 30-year bonds. So
yeah, I agree with you on that.
Sorry. Did you have any other bullet points or thoughts that were like, wow, I'm glad I read that 900 pages. Anything else that jumped out at you?
The only other thing is that because you guys have been at this specific company for so much longer than I have. So it was really good. It's one thing to read it one way in the 10K, and it's another way to read it with the corresponding emails and minutes. It really gives you a much better understanding of how they're thinking about the business and what they've been doing for the last 2 years. So even if you're literally coming in at this new, you should just read it. It's there's a lot of jargon, but hopefully between all the stuff that's been published, you can kind of sort through the jargon. That was really helpful.
And I would really just, even as a disinterested third party, I guess, that, I'd encourage people to be that invested in the companies they invest in. You should be. I mean, I found it really disappointing when the votes came in and only 35% of AMC common shareholders voted. That's pretty sad.
Yeah. And now the narrative is that the vote was suppressed. They're illegally not reporting votes.
Well, then it's illegally reporting votes on all these meme stocks that everyone holds. Like the retail just doesn't vote. It's
not
kind of
just
like
meme stocks, though, right?
Yeah.
May, what's your experience with shareholder turnout?
Even Berkshire ends up with easily, like if they touch 40%.
Yeah,
and this is Warren owning most of the shares.
This is the problem with retail investors that are only invested in one stock. They don't have any wider experience to know that those numbers are very par for the course for most companies, right, May?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also
pathetic turnout.
Yeah, and also the index funds usually don't vote. Take that back. It depends on the situation, but quite a lot of the index funds vote to abstain.
And these votes are independently audited. AMC's not counting the votes. They have a company that's tallying the votes. I mean, the level of conspiracy about the vote is so overdone and demonstrating a complete lack of understanding of how voting is done. And the fact that the same problem that AMC faces is faced by almost every public company, low voter turnout.
It's like a comfort blanket they can keep coming back to. When every other thing that they talk about gets destroyed, they can
guys, you can hate me and you cannot like what I'm saying, but do your own work and fact check it. I mean, I'm not here to lie to anybody. I posted the votes on Twitter and in my community tab. The 2023 vote turnout was the highest in the last 3 years. Yikes. Like if they were suppressing it, wouldn't they have made it lower than 2022 or 2021? No, it was the highest in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So you're being lied to by clickbaiters who want to jerk around your emotions. And do your own work. Go look. Someone told me, "Oh, Tony, you know these votes, anyone could make up those numbers." And I'm like, it's a freaking SEC filing.
Go to jail for it.
Oh well, the filings could be correct. Fake. Okay, if you think everything is fake, why are you investing in the stock market?
Yeah.
You got, at some point, you got to trust some of the data.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why are you here?
With your friends
you're never going to win. May.
Wait, somebody loaned their shares out and couldn't vote? No, you can still vote.
No, that if your shares get loaned out, the voter rights passes to whoever they're lent out to.
If you're in margin and your shares get loaned out, you don't get the votes.
Broker.
May, someone's got a pressing question for you. Grandpa Barney, May.
Is it Grandpa? I love Frank.
Grandpa Barney says, May, why do you only own APE and why are you not buying the dip on AMC?
AMC is way too volatile for me. I don't know what to do with it, to be fair. And then APE is legitimately. So remember that I bought these when APE was ridiculously undervalued. So the way that
you got it way down there then.
Yeah. My first video comes out when it was 80 cents because AMC at the time was trading more than seven times higher. Maybe it's $1.
I'm envious of you.
Slamming deal, May.
But I just couldn't understand it because I was like, that bakes in a lot of dilution.
Yeah.
And so I didn't think it made any sense. And then I hit what I consider my position limit. I think that's the one thing that if I could say anything to what's a real travesty. And I guess different people have different ways that they invest. So I can't really be a jerk about it one way or the other. But if something is trading this aggressively, I won't make it my biggest position or a position that makes me.
Well, I mean, if you listen to some of the things like from Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, they're like you said, if it's something that's like this, where it's a pretty guaranteed thing or at 100% thing. I think I remember Charlie Munger saying, if I knew something was an 100% thing, I'd put 100% into it. I might even put 115%. I wouldn't recommend that to your viewers, but I mean, that's what I did with Twitter that's when I first started following Chancery Daily, and she explained that, Musk is 100% going to lose this. And I said, well, then I'm putting 100% of my brokerage account into making some cash off of the Twitter sale.
May, do you have any price targets in the short term for AMC or Corax?
I don't really.
I don't really think I know enough to put a price target on it. I know like what the arbitrage spread is coming out of this, but I don't know if I can make a future projection on that.
I was looking at the chart last week, and I told my Discord and live streams that I think I said by Wednesday, but on Monday I updated it to by Friday of this week, we're going to be around $4.10. So that's what I've been saying for the last week on AMC. And the saving grace would have been if we had blowout movies over this holiday weekend, and we did not. We had good movies, not blowout, like Mario type numbers showing up. I was hopeful. I don't like seeing AMC getting run down, because that ultimately is going to affect the conversion price.
Yeah.
But just based on looking at the chart and how much they're willing to drop it, my end of week prediction is around $4. $4.11 was the number that I've been putting out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a rough go for a little bit of time until we either get greater clarity. Like if this is a quarter by quarter game. You never know what happens in the future quarters, but like it has to cross this period of time. I mean, like there's so many questions that I have to clear. Like so much attention has been distracted to this lawsuit. There's so many good questions. Like he's done a tremendous amount to reduce operating costs. I'd like to hear even more, what's up there, because he's got to get that down still.
May, you had I asked you a question in DM a couple days ago, and I think you called out Adam Aaron on it. We were talking about the cash raise, the potential future cash raise after reverse split, right?
Yeah.
And you were saying that you want to know more clarity on what is he going to do with the money if he raises more money. And I think that is a great question that we could all be hammering Adam Aaron with. I share your concerns.
Yeah.
That's my biggest concern too. Once he gets AMC free and clear, is he going to go back to the drunk tank and relever the company back up?
Not even if he gets it free and clear, Corex. Like my concern is if he gets access to billions of dollars of equity raise, maybe he's just going to shuffle some shares over and buy Regal. Like,
I want him to like calm it down and just, I think that if he does an asset raise, and this is what we were talking about, he's got to, I get it. He's got to do some purchases as he does some sales. And if there's something truly that's going to make money, no problem. But I think there has to be a target leverage ratio at some point.
Yeah. We were talking about this in the Discord voice chat in a call that we were having. Like, if you can buy certain assets that are generating cash, like if you could cherry pick,
and he did that in fairness.
Yeah, if you could cherry pick some new locations that are cash flowing, that might be an okay use of some of that new stock. But like buying the whole package, the whole other fleet. I don't know that I'd be on board for that.
Or maybe using some of that cash to restructure some leases. Maybe in some cities where you have a bigger turnouts, you can have bigger theaters, or in ones where it's smaller turnout, you can reduce the size of your theaters down to something that the actual population can support.
Yeah.
Now, Charles Gasparino retweeted a non-financial YouTuber that was screaming on YouTube at Adam Aaron, like, you better pay off the effing debt when you get that money. Like, May, can you just talk to the folks? If Adam Aaron raised $4 billion in August, what are your thoughts to people who say he should use all of that to immediately pay off $4 billion worth of debt?
No, he doesn't need $4 billion worth of debt.
Right,
really
but
get rid of the 12% PIK toggle. That's
explain to them why that is not the best move.
Because right now, if he goes to the capital markets to try to raise more capital in this particular market, he won't have access to capital, and he needs some debt. Look, debt is not a bad thing. Debt is only a bad thing. My issue isn't debt. My issue is that he took out, and this isn't even an issue. This was the only way he was going to get through the dark, right? Like during COVID, he needed to get debt. He got a 12% PIK toggle, which is basically a second lien PIK toggle, which basically means they're second in line from the first lien folks, number one, which means they come before every other, and the second thing is that it allows you, I believe, if I'm understanding the structure correctly, it allows you to defer interest in the case where you can't, you can't pay it, right? And he definitely probably took advantage of some of that. So I know that debt grew a particular way, but it's growing at a 12%. I need him to pay it back. That's the piece of debt that I would like to have whatever he can do to try to remove that. Now, in fairness, if we keep having interest rates do this nonsense that it's doing right now, 12% is going to look like cheap debt for someone in this credit rating.
Well, I mean, if you follow the yield curve, it could be coming back down here pretty soon. So I don't know. We'll see.
It's hard to say, but that's the piece of debt, which I wouldn't mind if he used some portion to pay that down. At least, yeah.
Now let's just talk for 2 seconds about Highcroft, because he spent $28 million buying Highcroft. And I saw you commented on it, May, and you posted the slide as far as the what was that slide? It broke down. Was it the CapEx?
Find it. It was this use of proceeds for here. I'll find it real quick. While you're talking.
It was CapEx wasn't the heading of that table. It was use of capital, I think, like
Capital deployment. Yeah.
capital deployment. Thank you. I'm getting old, May. It's hard to remember.
We all are every day. Every day we're marching toward
But let's talk about those buckets for 1 second. If you want to pull up that chart, is that it on your screen?
Yep. Did I mess it up? Okay, here we go.
I think this is good for people to see because I see this complaint a lot. Adam, where did the money go? Where'd the money go, Adam?
Yeah. Whoever made this slide,
Let's
good job.
talk about this.
Yeah. Whoever's the intern at AMC that made this slide, good work. This is a good slide. Yeah. So I mean, you can see at the top that the bulk of it, that 28 is nothing. It's a drop.
We're looking at the top right table, right? The far table on the right.
Yeah. So this
Highcroft. Wait, let me make this bigger so I can read it. Highcroft was, what does that say, May? It's really blurry. Was it 2% or 3% of capital deployed?
Oh, you're right. I can't read it either, but it's single digits percent.
Yeah,
So
it was like 2 or 3% of all the capital. The vast majority, over 70% of the cash is being used for interest, debt repayment, mandatory debt repayments, and rent deferral paybacks. Like we got behind on rent, right, May?
We did.
So the bulk,
that 12% pig toggle is an issue because that's how he paid it. Was using that.
If you want to know where the money's going, this is a summary. Most of it went for interest and repaying debt and rent that was behind, plus just closing the gap on the operating losses every quarter, right?
Yeah. The interesting other thing on here is the way they're just framing it out, like the mental way that they're thinking about it. So, Highcroft was diversifying outside of theater, which, hey, look, so is the popcorn thing, and everyone has an opinion there. The popcorn seems a little bit closer to core. This Highcroft doesn't. So in fairness, like that's why, like as a secondary thing, I do feel like if he raises capital, it's not the worst thing to kind of put some bubble wrap around that. But then value accretive investments, I think, speaks to what you're saying as relates to if he bought something that was legitimately accretive, like a theater that's clearly cash flowing and able to become immediately accretive on purchase. Thumbs up,
Yeah. I'd be okay with that. I just don't want to see us go buy $3 billion worth of new theaters, and take all the dogs with the good stuff.
Yeah.
So I will call that out as not being happy if I see that happening.
Agreed.
But at the end of the day, there's not much we can do if he does it, right?
We can sell the stock.
You can vote him out.
We can't vote out the CEO,
board seats.
Right? I see a lot of people making videos. Let's vote out the CEO. When's the last time you guys voted for CEO of AMC? Never. You elect the board.
Yeah, you got a shot at the board, but you don't really have much. The board then would have to, you'd have to vote enough board members on such that the board then did something to replace the CEO.
This is just more YouTube emotional clickbait nonsense. The shareholders do not vote on Adam Aaron. We get to vote on the board.
Yeah.
And they decide if they want to keep Adam Aaron or not.
Yeah.
And based on the compensation they keep on approving for him, I think that they're very happy with his work. Just my guess.
Yeah.
See, I will say one thing about that, though. That's the part that's always got me as even a shareholder of any company, that all those like shareholder votes on the compensation plan, they're always suggestive. They'll do whatever.
It's infuriating, right?
Yeah. It's like, wait a minute, you guys are using my money and I don't get a say in it.
We get to vote on the compensation plan, but it's just, we'll take it under advisement. Thanks for your vote, but we're going to do what we want anyways. It is infuriating. But anyways, if
shareholders have gotten together to get rid of a board member, we could
the only
way to do it.
We could get rid of board members, but for everybody making videos or watching videos saying, let's vote out the CEO, that's a non-starter. You're never going to get to vote on the CEO.
Also the chairman and CEO of AMC, or am I reading that wrong when I was looking at that?
As far as I know, he's still the chairman and CEO. Yeah.
You can, if you have enough seats in the board.
We could just install ourselves on the board, right? Get a bunch
here.
of
Let's get a vote started. Tony Denaro for AMC board of directors.
Oh man, it's whoever took that job from the retail side would become instantly hated because of the confidentiality agreements. People think, oh, if we can just get retail in there, they can tell us what's going on.
Word.
Yeah, no.
No, you're gonna.
It reminds me of that. I don't know if any of you guys have watched the HBO miniseries John Adams, but it's like that when Washington became president his second term, and they've got riots outside, and he's talking to Adams. He's like, "I know what it's like to be hated now."
Yeah.
I mean, as a secondary, you'd be like, "Look, if you guys really don't like what Tony Korax and I are putting out, vote us to the board." We'll have to stop all YouTubes on AMC.
Wait, if they don't like what we're putting out, put us on the board?
If you don't like our AMC stuff, you could actually vote us onto the board, and we'd have to stop doing AMC.
Yeah, we could stop doing videos.
We'd be forced to comply.
Unfortunately, with what's going on with the company, I don't know that I would make any decisions different than what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are saying, but why doesn't he hire Wes Christian? I don't know. What has Wes Christian done for any of the dozen companies that have hired him recently? Jack shit. And he also famously lost a case in 2008 against the DTCC, alleging naked shorts, failures to deliver, share lending, yada, yada, yada. He lost that case. So as far as I'm concerned, the precedent has been set. Yeah. And that's why Adam is smart enough not to waste money on Wes Christian. And all the other CEOs that are hiring Wes Christian are just pulling the rug over retail to pump their prices. That's why all of them went up and then crashed back down. It was a fake pump.
Is he that one that works for that one law firm that's like supposedly hovered around Berta, that's like a bunch of like stock market ambulance chasers?
I'm not going to comment on that. I'm just saying I have the case. I'm ready to make a video on it. I just, I have all the case documents of the case that he lost back in 2008. And I'm not exaggerating when I say he sued the DTCC for naked shorts, failures to deliver, share lending, everything that people are complaining about now. He sued it and he was denied with prejudice. Basically, they said you can't sue the DTCC because they're operating under federal guidelines, federal rules.
They are absolutely immune.
Yeah. So that's not going to go anywhere, guys. I get it. It's disappointing for me too.
I still think, and I don't know. I'm still waiting for a lawyer to tell me there's no possibility. But technically, that hypothecation agreement is a lending agreement, which should also, this is a big question mark, be covered under consumer lending. And consumer lending is a different agency.
There could be some angle. Like I'm not saying I'm not saying it's like game over.
Fine. Yeah.
But it's a uphill battle at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It's like trying to sue FINRA.
They're both in the same thing.
You're going to need a lot of money and a lot of time. It's not going to be an overnight fix.
In fact, in the Rosa Tawil lawsuit, one of those silly MMTLP lawsuits, the judge in the case spelled it out while denying her claim. If you've got any problems with FINRA or any of these organizations, go talk to the SEC because they're the only ones that can do anything about it. Have a nice day.
If you get consumer lending involved because of the lending agreement itself, then they can directly fine the broker dealers for just failure on lending. That's
rehypothecation is legal. That's the unfortunate thing. There's all sorts of
interest rate is not.
There's all sorts of synthetics and rehypothecation, and look, everything is fucking manipulated. We've never made any secret about that. FTDs, rehypothecation, legal shorts, naked shorts from the market makers. There's no shortage of synthetic shares. Unfortunately, it's all sanctioned by the SEC. That's the shitty thing.
See, I'm hoping to get them I'm just hoping to get them at the lending part itself. Do you know what I mean? Because they're supposed to, like, for example, on the mortgage side, Wells Fargo had a $3 billion fine because they were not doing the correct lending procedure, or the way that they were lending was misleading to consumers. There's actually very specific language on this, so I'm skipping all of that. Okay. So I'm just wondering, I'm skipping all the actual language. That's the only reason I'm saying it.
There are companies that have been fined for naked shorts. There are people that break the rules.
Yeah.
But
I'm talking about the hypothecation agreement. I don't think you can get them on the naked shorting, but you might be able to get them on the lending agreement itself. The broker dealer, I mean.
And some of these other companies, the smaller ones, are going after predatory lenders with convertible debt. That's a whole separate issue, right? That a lot of the stuff that Wes is going after right now is predatory lenders. That's completely separate from naked shorts and synthetics. That's death spiral financing.
Yeah, that's a whole different kettle of fish that I'm a lot of people who got suckered back into the Bed Bath and Beyond scam train are learning first class now that it's in bankruptcy. And speaking of bankruptcy, they finally closed that up on like AVTC, so that's done and dusted. They're even off of pink sheets. They're done. Goodbye.
Bed Bath and Beyond Stalking Horse is tomorrow or the 2nd? I forget.
It's I think it's the 2nd, because I could have sworn it's in June.
It is in June. I think it's the 2nd. And just my guess, there's going to be no bidders, and the lien holders, the debt owners are going to end up getting the company, and common stock will be wiped out. That's just my guess.
Well, the bond holders might even be wiped out too if they can't find anyone to buy any of the assets. I mean, if they don't get a stalking horse bid, it goes to an open auction, which, yikes.
May, do you have any thoughts on Bed Bath & Beyond? Are you following it at all?
I looked a couple times. It looked like a disaster, but I couldn't figure out what assets they have left.
Not much.
Not much. I'm glad we came to that. But yeah, like I thought I was going to do some bankruptcy videos on it, like I had done with some of these other companies. And then I got a hold of the bankruptcy documents. I'm like, oh, this is over.
I don't even think they owned. I think they just had leases.
Pretty much. Yeah. So all they're selling is pretty much the brand name, the inventory, Bye Bye Baby, just stuff like that, the IP. And like this, like I was explaining in the video I did, this is like the fastest bankruptcy I've ever seen. And given I only covered like 3 or 4, but the stalking horse bid is started this new month. They want it all done by the end of June. It's like 2 months and gone.
Yeah, because they're going to have every store closed by early July.
It's pretty fast. That's really fast.
They got no money left. I mean, they got to.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, the sales of the inventory that's left are not marked down very much yet.
No, that's what a lot of customers were saying when they were going in. They were really disappointed that there was just not any markdowns.
Yeah. They marked it down like crazy here in New York. That one's gone. Yeah.
Not in my local area.
20%.
My wife went in there and she came out and she's like, I'm not 20% off. Fuck that. I mean,
no, they would do that.
I was expecting 40, 50, 60% off.
20%. Do you really get one of those buzzers for Tony, the auto bleeper?
Hey, we're chill here on the evening live streams.
Yeah.
We smoke, we drink, and we curse. But you know, I'm all business during the day, and nighttime is just where we cut loose and have fun. So.
Excellent.
So haters, fucking deal with it. By the way, this is my last drink, guys, for at least 2 weeks.
Oh boy.
Because I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why real quick. My knee has been injured for about 9 months, and it's back 100% now. So I'm going back into the gym starting tomorrow. I did a 3-mile walk run today, and I started back on my super strict keto 2 days ago. And that means that on June 1st, no empty calories, no alcohol for 2 weeks. So
That sucks. Good luck though.
I'm going super hardcore on the keto, intermittent fasting, and just really high protein and a lot of cardio and barbell lifts for the next 2 weeks to kick it off in high gear. So that's a choice I made for myself. No alcohol for 2 weeks.
I see a super chat question for you right there. I already know what my answer to that one is.
Mike, thank you. What's up, amigo? Is ANC giving out a dividend anytime soon? I'll let everybody answer this, but in short, my answer is no.
No.
No, please don't do it, AMC.
No.
They can't because of the covenant restrictions. Look, when these lenders lend money to AMC, they put covenants to protect their loan, and when dividends are paid out, that actually, what's the right phrase, May? It impacts negatively the bondholders when capital is deployed to pay out a dividend. That's why they put in covenant restrictions until certain thresholds are met. And AMC's like at least at a minimum a year, 6, 9, 12 months away from even being at a covenant position where they could pay out dividends.
Yeah, and even then, you would want some sort of cash, especially to accrue to the balance sheet. And when you pay out a dividend, that's counted in on the share price. You'll see every time that a company pays out a dividend, it goes down by about the amount of the dividend payout because you're taking cash off the balance sheet and you're paying it out to shareholders.
Yeah, it's not a great idea, I don't think. May, you can jump in and correct me. It's not a great idea to pay a dividend when you're losing money.
You should not pay a dividend if you have this kind of debt situation. Just another APE, though, that I think he's clarifying something that also is out there. You can actually issue so technically the APE issuance was a dividend, and there are other stocks that pay their dividend in stock versus or stock or cash, user's choice.
Yeah, but everybody is like so fixated on if they would just issue a cash dividend, we could squeeze the shorts.
Rocket Mortgage thought the same thing, and that didn't work for them.
As far as I'm concerned, that is just more unfortunate Reddit DD that generally doesn't work out. It'd have to be a massive dividend to force the shorts that we know about to close.
And if not, you'd have like a 1 day, and then it would slap down because of all that cash.
Yep.
It would be the worst. And you'd have to be like hustling for the door, because I think the minute they announced it, people would probably be like,
if they did a $5 a share dividend, just for example, the price of the stock would drop $5 too. You guys know that, right?
Yeah, because like we said, we're taking cash off the balance sheet.
Yeah, as soon as the dividend's paid, the price of the stock is going to be reduced by about that amount.
Yeah. I think people get that because there's a couple of stocks that pay a very high dividend, and they state that the reason that the dividend is being paid is to try to keep the shareholders interested because there's no growth. I actually think some of those stocks are pretty good shorts too.
I had one that it was like that. It's I've given the example on here at least once. Orchid Square Capital last year, they're one of these, I like to call them the fraud MREIT stocks, where they basically leech off their shareholders. They pay this big dividend to lure you in. You start paying the dividend, and they don't have the money to back it up. They go, ooh, whoops, we got to do a reverse split and print more shares. If they do the reverse split, it still shows a 9% dividend rate, but you have less shares now, so you get less on the dividend, and they just keep doing that. And over the years, you lose money on that, even if the dividend's like super juicy. And so they did that last year, and I bought puts before the reverse split. The thing tanked, and I was like, cash money, thanks, bye.
Corax and May, I've got a question for you, playing off of Damrick's comment. Here's the question, and I've talked about this in recent live streams, my thoughts on it. So I want to hear from you guys. If you had $200 over the next 2 weeks, would you think which is going to help AMC more? All right, let's frame the question around that.
Okay.
Buying $200 worth of APE or AMC shares, or spending $200 on tickets and concessions.
Well, I mean, I
You
would
should buy a gift
say
card. That's what you should do. You should buy a gift card if that's what you want to do, is help AMC.
Why
'Cause they
gift
would-
card, May?
They would book it as a liability, and then they would have the cash at some later date. What AMC needs right now is time.
they get the cash up front with the liability that you would be able to get goods and services from them at a later date.
Yeah.
But
And then just
on
use
the
gift card for a
on the
couple years.
income statement, it wouldn't improve EPS because it's booked as a liability.
Exactly. But they would have the cash, and that's what they actually need right now. Is the cash.
That's pretty fair.
All right, I've actually
How do you like
always had, I've been leaning negative towards gift cards because of the liability that's created.
They book it as a short-term liability then,
yeah.
I guess.
It just shows up as a it shows up in current assets or current liabilities, because it'll be like deferred revenue, I think is what it usually shows up as.
Yeah.
By the way, turns out on every gift card you have to read the fine print, because after a certain number of years, sometimes it's null and void. So you always have to read
and then they just take your money.
All right, correct. Same question to you. The framing of the question is, what is going to materially help AMC more, buying APE or AMC on the secondary market, or spending your money at a theater?
I mean, I would say at a theater, because that's long-term revenue growth for the company. But
It's tough. That one's tough.
Coincidentally, guys, I had the same answer. If you're spending money right now, look, if you've got an entertainment budget and your entertainment options are go to a concert, go out to a bar and buy 10 shots of Jägermeister, or go to a movie and buy some concessions, you can allocate that however you want, right? But if you're spending it at AMC, that's like an immediate income statement improvement for this quarter, versus buying the stock literally does nothing because it's in the secondary market. Doesn't help AMC.
It's already been sold. They've gotten the money from it.
You're not helping AMC right now by buying stock. They don't get any benefit from that. You're just buying it from another trader.
Well, I mean, if there's a secondary market, somebody's going to have to support that. But there, I hadn't thought about it. It is actually kind of interesting. If you did actually buy a really large amount of gift cards, created
it's basically like a short-term loan.
Short-term loan that
with no interest.
You get like $4 billion worth of prepaid.
I see people on Twitter musing. Why is everybody posting about going to the movies? Like you're just trying to help Adam Aaron. Well, no shit, dumbass. Because we're shareholders. Yeah. We're trying to help ourselves. We're trying to improve net income and EBITDA, because that is what the market is going to base their buying decision on the stock off of. Yeah. So it doesn't take a brainiac to figure why we're going to the movies.
If
support your investment.
But if you have $1 billion lying around, AMC gift cards, thank you, please.
Yes, we would. Yeah, Pulte, if you're listening, you want to go buy a bunch of AMC gift cards and hand them out.
$1 billion. Okay, that's the best asset raise you could do. I think it should work. I mean, that's essentially what deposits at a bank are.
All right, let's see if anybody has some good questions for Corax and May, or me. Mm-hmm. I'll take a question. Damrick says, buy more AMC to pressure the shorts for a squeeze to help me. Yeah, Damrick, right now the problem is the stock prices of AMC and APE are kind of in limbo, waiting for this court case to be resolved.
Yeah,
that's my take on it. What do you think, May or Corax?
I totally agree. You're right.
Yeah, if anything, Most of them are just going to at least hold till this closes, because we know that, on convergence, the price is going to merge at some median point. So there's no point to get out any time before the settlement is completed. I mean, that's what my puts on the other end of this arb say.
Volkstoy says his opinion, AMC will be bankrupt in less than a year. Correct. I'm going to let you field that one. I've already talked about it many times.
I just don't feel like that's going to happen. I mean, especially with this new runway they're going to get. I strongly believe the settlement is going to be approved, which means they're going to open back up their window for peer offerings. So less than a year, I don't see that with how much they could, even if they completely emptied out the entire shelf all over again. They'd have a lot of cash.
Yeah, they'll have 400 million shares plus that they could sell into the market. Very, very low probability that they're going to go bankrupt within the next year. And
I mean,
really,
they log jam the court, but I don't see them losing the settlement. So,
or unless if the domestic box office pins at 9 billion, AMC is going to have to make some tough choices.
Yeah,
like they're going to have to close locations. We can't last. This company cannot survive at 9 billion box office.
At that 9 million box office, then what I would think they would do at that point, then, because you've got all these lease obligations and you've got this debt load, it wouldn't be 7, it would be 11. They would go to bankruptcy, but they would wash out and come back out the other end with, giving the new equity to the old debt holders.
Well, you're agreeing with Volkstoy on the bankruptcy case.
I mean, if it gets pinned at this like really low level, that obviously isn't sustainable. But if it keeps going up and they've got this cash runway, they'll be fine.
By every industry analyst, next year should be better than this year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
until you see the movies that come out.
What was that, May?
It'll be hard to know until you see what movies.
Yeah. But I mean, the industry knows what movies are coming out next year, and they're forecasting that it'll be better than this year. Yeah, they know.
I thought it was only for 6 months that they would have clarity into. Okay, I didn't realize that. But I mean, there's a huge backlog from COVID, so you're probably 100% right, because I don't.
It is still a bit of a guess, right? Because you don't know for sure what's going to happen with the economy or another COVID. Nothing is certain. We're just saying the expectation for next year
breaks their leg and they have to hold off on a movie.
Yeah, I mean, the expectation for next year is it will be better than this year. So when I say there's little to no chance of bankruptcy, I'm assuming that next year is better than this year in domestic box office, and assuming that AMC has access to capital.
I think they need to close down more theaters, though, to be fair.
They are. They're still going to be shutting down non-performing theaters. It's still happening. And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right? Really, as leases come up, if it's not cash flow positive, cut it.
Cut it. Yeah.
Benedict says, do the available shares AMC can sell into the market shrink by 90% in the reverse split? No. They'll have.
I am so sick of hearing that.
They'll have 400 million shares, roughly, that they can sell.
I wonder if he means it that way. You know what? We should say it.
Some people think that the authorized shares collapses, and that is not the case. Outstanding shares, the float will collapse by 10, but authorized is going to be 550 million, and that will not collapse.
Yeah. So the other way to say that is shares outstanding shall be lower.
But shares authorized is no change.
Yeah. The potential to issue more shares is
just like another good case to hammer that home is Mullen. They just did a 1-for-25 reverse split. They still have $5 billion that they can sell.
Jesus.
$5 billion. Authorized.
Why are people in that company? Oh my God.
It's the next Tesla.
I'm sure. Never mind the fact that one of the guys from one of the subsidiary companies, they are in a lawsuit in Tennessee for fraud to the tune of $4 million.
Hey, May, I'm gonna throw a math question at you real quick, and it's okay if you can't answer it. But have you heard anybody say Adam Aaron wants to steal 90% of your shares, May?
Yeah, I mean, I
Because
thought
of
it was early days when people really didn't understand what a reverse split was.
because of the 1-for-10 reverse split. May, here's the math question: how many shares are they stealing when Mullen does a 1-for-25 reverse split?
You're stealing shares. Poor people. I'm sorry, guys. There's so
It's
much
96%. They're stealing 96% of your shares. But guys, you know what's ironic is all of the YouTubers that are complaining about Adam Aaron stealing 90% of your shares are also pumping Mullen, and they had no problem whatsoever with a 1-for-25 reverse split. That's fine. The price is cheap. The fundamentals are great, even though they're not making any revenue. They just love David Mishery. They love Mullen, even though they just stole 96% of the shares. The YouTubers had no problem with that, but Adam Aaron is stealing your shares. Same fucking YouTubers talking out of both sides of their mouth. And I'm going to call that bullshit out.
Yeah, I think so. It looks like I was just reading through here. Yeah. So it's a float versus shares available thing that I think is getting confused right now on AMC. With Mullen, it just sounds like I'm afraid to go look at it because I don't know what that would be like on the it seems like a hot mess.
It's a hot mess, but May, everybody is you know, they're counting on one major upcoming announcement. That's what it's all about. Like, if that happens,
do that with your money unless you're really betting it on black, you know.
Yeah, it's a gamble, right? It's a pure gamble. If it happens,
they're betting on black, they're betting on 00.
Yeah.
Roulette players know what the odds are on 00. It's not high, but if it hits, you're going to get fucking rewarded. So all that means is don't bet don't mortgage your house and put it on Mullen.
Do like the same amount that you would take to the casino. Like,
yeah. If you're willing, look, if you can go to Vegas tomorrow and drop 10,000 on 00 for one spin of the roulette wheel, buy some Mullen. But if you go in the casino and like, I can't lose more than $100 because I can't even feed my family, do not be fucking buying. Woo. Steven says Trey popularized Mullen and made money off the first big run. Yeah, I mean, it did have a big run 2 years ago, but things were different 2 years ago. Same thing I'm going to say about money. AMC. You know, we're not in 2021 with easy money anymore. And Mullen is, they keep on missing deliverables and diluting with no revenue. Still 2 years later from when Trey pumped it, still no revenue.
I'll take a look. I think I'll get curious this earnings like on my off time and take a look.
Go watch my last two videos 12 days ago, May.
I don't know when I'll take a look, but if I do, I'll definitely watch some of your videos.
I spent the better, part of a morning going through all the reading and every bit of the last few 10Qs in detail, all the press releases, the website, deep dive into the battery, all of Lawrence Harges. I mean, when I make a video, I'd put a lot of work into it.
Yeah.
It's not just look at the balance sheet and make a video. It's like a lot of work went into my analysis, and I'm gonna go on the record again and double down on what I said 12 days ago. You're going to find out on Mullen on the next update that the dilution that they have Series D preferred and convertibles and warrants. It's going to be about 220 to 240 million shares versus 150 people were thinking a week ago and 170 that it just got updated to recently. So that's a pretty big dilution. And that's not even counting Mr. Mishery raising money. That was just my calculation based on the convertibles. And those guys aren't going to sit around and wait for David to dilute. They're dumping it right now. That's why the price is going down. That's my thoughts anyways. I could be wrong. You'll have a chance to laugh at me in a couple of weeks or months when we get the next filing.
I don't think we'll have to worry too hard about that.
Yeah. Well, there's one day I'll be wrong, Corex.
Oh, I'm sure there's been plenty of days when I've been wrong on some of these things.
And by the way, I hope that Lawrence Harge does deliver for Mullen holders. I own $50 worth of Mullen, not because $50 is all I could afford. It's because that's all I was willing to risk on that dumpster fire. Like I talked to you guys about risk management. If you know something is a 00 on the roulette wheel, you don't bet the farm on it. That was literally all I was willing to risk.
That's the biggest thing people miss, I think, with investing, capital preservation.
If 50 goes to 500 for me, that's a win. If I lose $50, not a big deal. I spend that on a bottle of scotch.
I bet you got some pretty fine tastes on scotch. Got any recommendations?
I like probably my favorite. I'm not the end all be all expert on scotch, but I like the Arbor. That's one that I like. I like La Prague. I like really tasty, strong scotches. But just my everyday scotch is just Johnny Walker Black.
Yeah.
Just a good blend, nothing too fancy.
Cool.
Macallan's good, yeah. There was another one. I was just about to think of it. Anyways, we'll do a scotch tasting one night.
Oh boy.
After I can drink again. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And by the way, the 2 weeks,
$50 at AMC concessions. You guys are funny on these messages.
I'm not going to have any popcorn photos at AMC for the next 2 weeks.
No.
All my concessions, my concession money. I don't know. I guess I could
get
eat
some
a
bunless
salad.
hot dogs.
Yeah, I could eat a salad or a hot dog or a burger, a bunless burger. They do have some keto-friendly food at the dine-in theater. But my goal with the next 2 weeks is hit it really, really hard and try and lose 10 pounds in 14 days, which I have done before.
Yeah.
So it's not impossible. And then, if I'm at that goal, then I'll allow some vices like the occasional scotch when we're doing a live stream. But if I don't meet that goal, then I will extend the very hardcore calorie restriction, no alcohol, yada, 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 till we get at least 10 pounds off.
I'm getting back into that though, but then I'm also getting more active, so that usually helps.
James says Blue Label all day. I don't think I've ever had Blue Label. It's on my wish list next time I have a big win in the market.
You just get a little one. They have small ones.
Yeah, I don't even know if I've had a shot of it at a bar, May. You could buy.
They'll mark you up like crazy. Get a tiny one.
Okay, that's
just
a good
want to
idea.
taste it, see if you like it.
I was looking to Christmas gift myself a box set of the red, black, and blue.
Oh yeah, those look great.
They were all sold out. I was going to do a side-by-side tasting.
Duty free is key.
Maybe I'll do that for a live stream in 2 weeks. I'll just go to the local store and buy a small bottle of each.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. Like if you're doing them side by side, could you tell the difference?
Oh yeah, you can.
Okay.
Everyone can. I promise.
See, my favorite.
You can't tell the difference.
See, my preferred alcohol, you can't tell the difference usually unless it's bad. And then you don't want to taste the difference, but vodka is usually my go-to. So,
all right, I'm gonna give Hillionaire our one bear for the night a shot to ask one question. Hillionaire, I see you. He's working really hard to tell us how upset he is with AMC. I doubt he even owns any. But ask us your toughest question. Let's not let him feel like he's being ignored. Even people that don't own the stock need to be heard. What's your question, Hillionaire?
Uh-oh, he's shy now.
Jesse says, what? In fact, Hillionaire, do you want to come on a call? I'll send you a number. Let's get you on a call, Hillionaire. Don't comment. Let's get you on a call. Just say yes, and I'll drop the number in there for you. Let's do it that way. Jesse says, what do you think of Pulte taking interest in AMC?
I didn't see most of that, but the way I got it was kind of both sides were trying to glom, like the people in there were trying to see if they could get some more normies into like the AMC world, whereas he was there to try and get some of the AMC people into his branded stuff. So I think it was more cross promotional than anything.
Yeah, I'm on the fence about that whole thing. Like, how does he go 2 years and not know anything about AMC? But he sounded genuine. But then I saw he got invited to another Twitter space right after talking about, hey, Pulte, we want to educate you why GME doesn't like AMC. And he said, okay, like you just got through telling us people shouldn't fight, but now you want to go learn why they're fighting? Like, I don't know. I got invited to talk on that call, and I just I said, I'll be there listening, and I was, but I don't know that I want to get involved in talking on a call. And the speakers did a fantastic job, I thought, of saying anything that I could have said. So, Hillionaire, come on, buddy.
Yeah.
Tell us that you want to give us your best shot, and I'm going to send you a phone number. Don't be shy.
I don't know much about Pulte as far as it goes.
I don't either. I just popped in briefly, saw what it was. And I was like,
grandson of the Pulte home construction company, not involved with the company, although he has previously been involved with the company. Direct giver, charitable donations on Twitter. Seems like a nice dude. I don't really follow him that much. I just see him occasionally gifting money, and I support that direct giving. Hey, the world needs more people like that.
I just wonder, why did he take? I have no negative. I'm not like completely immediately, but I am curious. Why did he care all of a sudden?
I don't know.
Like, was he just trying to touch base with a lot of
that was why the suspicious
he has
people,
more followers than anybody else is on there.
May, that was the people that were calling him out were like asking, why all of a sudden? Is there a hidden agenda here? There's a lot of suspicious people.
And then he's got that weird post about giving, like, I'll buy whatever stock you want or something, or it's like odd.
Hillionaire seems to disappeared, which is kind of confirming what I thought, that it's somebody using a different screen name that doesn't want us to recognize their voice.
Yeah.
They're blocked on my channel, so they create a different account, and I probably know exactly who they are. And the fact that they won't come on a phone call is because we're going to recognize the voice.
Yeah.
Very easy to spot, guys.
What did he write that you said? I wasn't paying attention to the stream.
Just a nonstop for the last hour and a half, bashing Adam Aaron. Just typical bullshit. Like anybody on this channel fucking cares.
No, like you get really numb to it. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, every single person that is watching this channel understands the financial statements, why equity raise is important. They understand that the company is at risk. Not saying we're going to go bankrupt, but there's risk if something goes haywire. And they understand that the settlement is going to happen at the end of June.
Yeah.
So you're literally wasting your time. I just leave them in the comments because it's amusing to see them type and waste 2 hours of their time. You're not affecting anybody's mind in here. If it makes you feel better, just get it all out. But when you're not willing to come on a phone call, we know exactly who you are. It's one of about 5 people.
It's going to be such a close call for AMC, though, really. This year, maybe parts of next. But I mean, it's only because the only reason I'm saying next year is somebody posted, and they're not totally wrong. The writer's strike is a possibility. Like, people are pissed about AI and what it does for the actors. Now, are they so pissed that they're not going to be able to get movies out? I don't know the answer to that. That's why I'm saying there's just it's a weird business right now, but because you have to work that dynamic out. But if you can get past that, and he can get some lift with some of these other objectives to take the pressure off of needing to just be so dependent on, one form of income.
Volkstoy says, what happened to Commander 35? He showed up, Volkstoy, I did a live stream with Relentless a couple of weeks ago. He showed up at the very end just to try and insult her.
Oh, so mean.
She's like, yeah, he's my little incel stalker. And I like Commander 35. I'm just saying what she said, to me in private comments. And that's, she wouldn't mind me sharing that. Commander 35, I like him. I think he's funny as fuck. And he's entertaining. He's good at entertaining in a wild, crazy way. But I don't know why he stopped doing videos.
Aww.
He doesn't like me. He's called me out, but he's funny as fuck.
I mean, so long as you're entertained while you do it, I guess.
Yeah, at least be entertaining while you're doing it. He doesn't dedicate his channel to me like all my other haters. If I make a 2-hour
starting
video,
to drift into my comments section.
If I make a 2-hour video, I'm giving people like 20 videos worth of content. My haters. Please, Tony, can you make a video? We're really running out of shit to talk about. Yeah. We don't have any original ideas of our own. Just say anything, Tony, so we can say the opposite and call you a liar.
So funny.
Are we going to, speaking of like those feuds like that, are we going to have to lock you in a Hell in a Cell cage so you and Mike the Marine can duke it out on live TV?
I don't know. I mean, I like Mike. I've talked with him many months in private DM trying to explain my viewpoint on stuff. You see him reposting it now on Twitter, which is fine. I don't say anything different, guys, in DMs that I say to you in public or to anybody in my Discord.
Does he have a YouTube though? Is he a real actual person, or is he just?
He is a real person.
Oh,
but I can't have a debate with him because every time I bring up a fact or a document, he pivots to an insult.
I'm just saying that like maybe that should be Adam Aaron's new direction. He like opens up some space at some theaters, and we have some of these AMC YouTube personalities like we'll put them in a cage match or something so they can settle like their Twitter beefs.
Maybe a power slap contest.
There you go.
Standing wins.
Wait, is he? I can't tell if he's long or short the stock, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't get that. Like this whole thing. If you're long the stock, whether it's AMC or APE, why would you dedicate 10 videos a day to talking shit about the company and the CEO? Like, what real benefit? I get it. You're upset that you believed a fantasy that Lou told you, and you ignored that Adam Aaron told you a year ago that he doesn't believe in synthetics. And all of a sudden you hear a recording and that was new news. You were tricked by Lou 2 years ago, guys. And I get it that it's upsetting, but there's a reason why I never gave dates. I never gave brackets. I never gave price targets. I never interpreted one tweet. I kind of like told you guys, calm down on interpreting the tweets. It's because people are assigning fantasy interpretations to these tweets, and I'm not going to feed into that. And now it's hitting some people hard. The reality that they were lied to by Lou for 2 years. It's not that Adam Aaron was lying to you.
Why do they still believe him?
It's not that Adam Aaron was lying to you. He's been upfront. He told you a year ago that the company sees no evidence of synthetics. So the fact that he made a video, a secret recording with Robert, that is not new news. Well, you were willfully put the blinders on. A year ago, you didn't want to hear it, and you're just waking up. So I did not buy into AMC because of what Adam Aaron thinks about synthetics. I could give two shits what he thinks or says about synthetics. That is zero reason why I'm in this play.
I'll tell you, May, why people still believe them, because of a lot of these pumpers and a lot of these people that get caught up in some of this stuff. It's cult mentality. It's that philosophy that even reading the book by I think he goes by Cult Expert on Twitter, Dr. Hassan. He made a book on all that kind of cult psychology kind of stuff, where he says sometimes, you have these people who follow a cult, and the whole theory of the cult, like the comet's coming and we're all going to be taken to heaven, and the day comes and it doesn't happen, and it makes them believe in the cult even more. It's really weird.
Owning the Float says, at a poker tournament, winner gets synthetic shares. Oh, Lordy.
Oh, boy.
That's a good one. Dark Latin says, you may give 2 shits, Tony, but I give 0 fucks about what Adam Aaron says about him. Thank you. Guys, what Adam Aaron thinks about synthetics should, at the end of the day, what does that fucking change about your investment in the company? Is that worth spending 5 videos a day complaining about? Did it change anything that you thought about as far as the reason why you bought in? Did you buy in on day one because Adam Aaron told you in January of 2021, I believe in synthetics, and all of a sudden he's telling you something different? I would argue, no, not one of you bought in to AMC because of what Adam Aaron said. Not one damn one of you.
I don't actually understand this person's question. Why won't May answer the preferred share question? I think
All right. Who had the preferred share question? Please repeat it.
Money? Why won't May answer the question of preferred shares? I think you asked, like, why don't they issue a preferred B share? I'm not sure what you're asking is really what the question is.
Because I think what the question is that AMC currently has like the 3 class of shares, the preferred blank checks, the Class B, and the common Class A. So why don't they issue the Class B shares?
Oh, it's your money. All right, let me find your. Sorry, I'm the one throwing the questions up, and there's a lot of chats coming through. So let me try and find your question. It's your money. Not trying to ignore anybody.
Why would you
feel free to drop it again?
The preferred shares would go above the common. That would suck. Like, with all due respect.
Well, the Class B would be below Class A, I think, on the structure, but regardless, it chops up the capital structure. So why would you want the capital structure chopped up? I thought the whole point Adam Aaron was trying. The only reason they had the apes was to open back up the ability to have shares, but they're bringing them back together because it's much easier to just have one capital structure rather than a bunch of different share classes.
So he says, why can't AMC offer a preferred share Series B? They could, right? They've got 50 million, well, 40 million right now, blank check preferred stock. They absolutely could issue a preferred share Series B. And I don't know. It's still going to be, it depends on what rights and benefits they assign to that Series B.
Exactly.
If they were to sell it, right?
Yeah. I mean, with this particular preferred units, that the preferred shares that they use for the preferred units, they, for whatever reason, didn't prefer them to the common by definition. Because typically preferred is supposed to be preferred in the cap structure. But like Corax is saying, and like Tony is saying, you do have the right to like say whatever you like, write the terms however you want.
Mm-hmm.
They could give them 2x voting rights. They could give them a guaranteed dividend. They could create whatever they want. I don't know that you guys want a preferred share. Like, how would you feel if they created a preferred that had 2x voting rights?
Yeah, I'm not sure where they're trying to go with that. If they have some really fun thought process on how that would help with funding.
It's a very open-ended question that, there's so many different ways we could go down rabbit holes answering it that
the preferred share class gets you 1 free movie ticket each quarter.
I told you, if you want to help this company and you have $1 billion,
go buy gift cards. Huh?
Flying around.
Damrick says, who's going to buy it? I mean, if they did a preferred Series B, they would probably do wouldn't you think, they'd do a direct
ATM.
You think they'd do At the money, I think they do direct.
Direct, maybe, yeah.
I just don't see the point of it unless you know who's going to buy it. Like that, it is the question, like who's going to buy it, because it's not going to trade the same way as the common would. So you would be buying what?
And since it wouldn't be the common, it wouldn't trade on any of the funds or the exchange funds or any of that stuff because it's a preferred class.
May, do you want to talk about the effects of preferred on dilution?
Well, technically the preferred share is in its own class. So you don't necessarily, like on a couple of the calculations, you actually remove the preferreds, namely, like I think with book value, you have to remove the preferreds. But the way that this particular preferred works, it does dilute when he sells the APE shares, but that's not necessarily a case of all preferreds. But the weirdest thing is what you guys are talking about as relates to liquidity. Because if you really did like a normal preferred where it's just hanging out, separately from everything, depending on what you added to that, as far as what it was that was so for example, here, let me just throw out some examples. So Berkshire Hathaway obviously has A shares and B shares, and the A shares are actually, no, I don't know that A shares are structured preferred. Let me use a different one. News Corp has preferreds. Right? The family owns all the preferreds. They got lots of voting off those preferreds.
Right. That's how they keep control.
Yeah. And by the way, they're first in line in case something happens in News Corp of all the other shareholders. Like that's the typical.
That would be my biggest fear if they did a Series B preferred that, they'd rig it so we lose as common all the voting rights.
Isn't the Series Bs basically what Wanda had before they kicked them out the door?
They had is it Series B, Class B common stock?
Yeah, Class B, that's what I meant.
And it had 2x voting rights, yeah.
That was the fun thing, learning from Chancery Daily, the difference between class of shares and series of shares and how arbitrary and the definitions are different, but not really different. Who knows? Question mark. Because like a class is a class of shares, and then you can have series inside the class, but you can also have different classes. They all kind of do the same thing. Why there's a difference, no one knows, but there's a difference.
I guess my general thought, and I look, this is not a definitive answer. Be careful what you wish for.
Mm-hmm.
They literally have blank check ability to create whatever they want with preferred. They can assign any voting rights. They can assign dividends just to those preferred, and they might not issue them to you. They might issue them direct to an institution. Be careful what you wish for. It's easy to say, why don't they do this? Have you thought about all the ways that could go against you?
So is there someone out there that's like suggesting this is the right way
yes,
to do it?
There is, May.
Oh my gosh. It's like the speed at which stuff can be created is faster.
And I'm guessing that the person that's asking this question might be the person that is pushing, why aren't they, I've seen the videos. Why aren't they doing a Series B preferred? It's probably the same person because he's blocked on my channel, unfortunately. I hate blocking people, but when you dedicate your channel to insulting me and doxing, you get blocked. So they create different screen names and they come in here in the chat. Just be careful what you wish for, because you don't know how that could turn out, creating a new class of preferred.
Yeah.
Or a new series.
Or even just a new class of shares. Yeah. Like Google has A shares, B shares, C shares, and a lot of them don't. And all of them tend to be somewhat liquid, but a lot of them do not have voting rights. Only one has voting rights.
Can I do a video on preferred shares? No, I'm not going to do a video, because if I make a video that has any fact-based information that counters what this one particular person is making videos about, he thinks I'm attacking him.
Oh.
And you guys ask questions. I'd love to make videos and answer your questions. But if I make a video and then someone spends a week attacking me because I'm answering your question, not trying to make him look bad, just trying to answer your questions and share facts.
He's not single, you guys.
It's not worth it's not worth my time to do it.
Every time I come on your channel.
It's not worth my time to do it. And that is not why I make videos, to countermand anybody else. If I'm countermanding somebody, It will be called Fudbuster Episode 5. You will know if I'm FUD busting you.
Yeah.
It will not be a secret. Otherwise, if I'm making videos, it's something I wanted to talk about or you guys asked about it. It's really that simple. I don't watch other channels for the most part, and I certainly don't dedicate my channel to trying to prove people wrong.
Here, let me
If I'm trying to prove you wrong, it will be called Fudbuster. You'll know it.
on Ulta, I don't own any Ulta because I'm not through my research on it. I was looking at it though. That's probably why they're asking me
Just
that.
Mike,
recently had a big dip.
May they want to know if you're single?
Not single.
Not single. Oh, Mike, sorry. Juicy, sorry.
Not married, not single.
Oh, not married though. So you're
So
saying there's a chance.
Uh-oh.
Let's focus on the next question.
Muted Morant. Oh man, I love that. Can I see someone get kicked off the island? Who should we kick? Hillionaire kicked herself or himself. I really don't like kicking people. They got to be really nasty to get booted.
Yeah, I don't know where they're going with this. Oh, you know what? It's your money. It's going to be so different depending on what exactly that preferred is. There's almost a way to make a video that would help you out on that.
And the other reason, I'm going to be blunt. If I make a video on preferred right now, there is one particular YouTuber that is going to think, instead of answering your question, that I'm attacking him. So no, I will not do it. Maybe down the road after AMC's over, when this is all blown over, yes, I can do a video on preferred. But right now, it's just not. It's not a relevant topic to this play.
Yeah, and there's so many different ways that you like to do a preferred. You'd almost have to do like a pretty long video, because you can have like the blank check preferreds like this, or you can have convertible preferreds that convert back into common equity. Not like how AMC is doing it, like just on demand. You call up the company through your broker and go, I want the common shares now. And then it's a complicated part of the stock structure.
All right, here's a good question for you guys, and I'll answer it too. I've already answered it many times. Mav says, do you think after the reverse split that the higher price will stick?
It really depends on how much off that shelf that Adam Aaron wants to put out into the market right away, and how earnings come out. Now, Tony says that earnings looks good for Q2, so I mean, it might stick. But I mean, it depends on those two things. What's the company looking like, and how many shares does Adam Aaron have to print? Does he have to
boom, nailed it.
Does he have to turn into a mini J-Pow and just start shooting out the AMC shares? Or
what do you think, May? Are you still going to be in the play?
I can't say better than that. That's perfect, right there.
Yeah, guys. Right now. For those that are just joining in, what I've been talking about for the past few weeks. To that specific question, and I don't shy away from any question. I will tell you it, my answer, and the haters love to clip this stuff, and that's fine, because I'm not hiding from anything. Q2, I think that the order of events is going to go Q2 earnings will be likely positive. Right now, the analysts are estimating -3 to 6 cents or something like that, -6 to 9. I actually think there's a case that could be made that earnings are going to be positive in Q2, a blowout surprise quarter. And I think that the order of events is going to be drop surprise earnings, shoot the price up, and then
do
drop
an offering.
Dilution. The CEO handbook video I did a month ago, the comedy video that is giving you facts in a humorous way, that is how CEOs do this. They wait for good news and then they dilute. So I'm not worried about a reverse split. I think that Q2 will be a positive catalyst. And then I am worried about dilution. And that is just based on statistics.
And with this case finally getting wrapped up, that would all come together. They'd be able to offer shares right into that.
You want to offer shares as the price is moving up. So if I was CEO, that's what I would do.
The only one factor that I didn't mention, but I don't think this will come in until like you get to Q3, is usually when you have the Fed start to cut rates, it means the economy is starting to pull back. And if we see the Fed start seeing that inflation's turning to deflation to recession, and they start cutting rates, you may see. Now, it doubtfully has anything to do with financials of any of the companies you're holding, so keep that in mind. But the market is going to start to retrace back as people start moving to safer assets.
May, we got a question for you. Do you see chaos if the judge doesn't allow APE? Like if the court decision at the end of June or July, whenever Phineas wants to get kicked off. No, Phineas, I haven't seen anything for me to kick you. If the judge rules against AMC, May, do you see chaos?
I mean, I don't know what you mean by chaos. It will suck because then you'll have to raise money at some ridiculously low rate. So that would suck.
But I mean, if APE can't convert, May, let's go in the ultimate chaos.
If like say the settlement's rejected and we're stuck where we're at, well,
if the judge says APE was illegal, 242B,
well, I know what part of my position's getting sold immediately.
Yeah.
So the first proxy was, it just increased it from 426 and changed to 450. So you got an extra 25 that you can do from proxy vote 1. I called it proxy vote 1, but there were like 3 items that you were actually voting on. So you really, the impact, everybody keeps acting like the impact is just to APE. It's not, it's also to AMC, because I mean, I guess the only way that AMC isn't impacted by APE not getting converted back into AMC is if AMC legit doesn't need to do another capital raise. So like somehow everybody's estimates are way too low and they blow it out with like, let's call it $11-12 billion worth of movies. Then you might be able to get away with not doing a capital raise. But at least for this year. I don't know that you're safe for 2 years, but you're safe for at least 1 year, maybe. That would be
I think there would be chaos if AMC loses the case. That is the short's dream.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what would happen if
would short APE.
Chancellor. Yeah, well, I wouldn't short APE. I would just sell my APE position.
It's going to become worthless.
Puts. Yeah,
APE will become worthless, and the company AMC will probably be doubled down by shorts because they have no access to capital.
And they've got maybe like 2 quarters of capital left, and as far as cash goes.
In my opinion, it would be the absolute worst case scenario. That's why I talk about this so often. And I have an open invitation to any CPA or finance expert who wants to come on. May almost made the case tonight. And I will agree with you, May. They could... I have an open invitation to any CPA or finance professional that wants to come in and interpret the financial statements and tell us that this company is not at risk of bankruptcy. If you can make that case, other than what May said tonight, like they could skirt all the way down to 105 million, May, right? And maybe eke through if next year is great, there's a possibility they could make it. But it's not a great way to end the year, running your cash down to 105 million.
I think it would really, I don't know any CFO or CEO that would be able to sleep every single night off of it. I mean, it's really tight though. And you really have strong feelings about it. I mean, but it's not totally impossible. And also if that number really does come in closer to 11 billion, it might be a little bit more possible.
Well, I think that's pretty clear because you've heard it the way that the lawyers talk at the settlement here. Well, not the settlement here, but at these hearings leading up into the settlement, they're just as terrified as everyone else is that this is a real possibility.
Mr. Gecko says APE is already worthless. What do y'all think about that?
I disagree strongly. I'm getting the company at a huge discount.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm
this
showing
is
on my APE versus AMC arbitrage spreadsheet. Price of AMC is currently $4.50. Price of APE is $1.62. There's a 98-cent arbitrage opportunity based on a post reverse split price of $26. Definitely not worthless. There's a great case to be made that you could still buy APE and generate a profit. And if you're down on this play, or if you're just Johnny walking off the street, I used this example last week. If you're Johnny walking off the street and you've never invested in the company, if you knew that in August you were going to have your APE converted to AMC and you could buy 100 shares for $1.62 each or 100 shares for $4.50 each, which, just taking all emotions out of it, which sounds like a better deal to you right now? $1.62 a share or $4.50? Remember, they're going to be the same thing in about 60 days.
Yeah.
And that you get the upside.
I'm just going to leave it right there.
Yeah. And you don't even need to ARB like me. You get the 87 cents per share upside on the spread.
I hear people saying, I know the right thing to do is buy more APE, but my mission is to hold AMC. All right. I mean, you just said, you admitted you knew what the right thing to do was, and you're choosing not to do it. I have no sympathy for you at that point. If you know what the right thing to do is and you're purposely choosing not to do it, good luck. Godspeed.
So there's a couple of things I don't fully understand. So let's say that they deny or they uphold this whole thing with the conversion because they don't feel that that it's just on the mirror. This third thing that the shareholders voted on was for AMC to be able to continue to solicit to get the full votes. So they're like 68% right now. No, so they've like what, 128. And if they were only allowed to do it off of AMC, they would still need to get like what, 100 million votes or slightly under 100 million votes. They could still keep asking shareholders to turn in shareholders record of AMC from the proxy date. I think they can still keep asking people to vote according to the third proxy vote.
Yeah, if they don't get enough, they can just reconvene and try again. But I don't know. They need to retake.
I don't think they have to reconvene or anything like that. I think because of the third proxy vote that went through, they can just just keep literally call people and have them turn in the form or walk them through exactly how to do it.
Gotcha.
I think that's what the third proxy vote was.
May, I want you to read and think about the question on the screen for a second while I answer Philip's question. AMC Q2 box office is currently at 1.6 billion domestic. Do I still forecast 2.8 billion? Philip, I'm backing away from my high end estimate of 3.3. That was like, if everything hit out of the park, we could potentially do 3.3 billion domestic. That was not a forecast. That was like if all the stars aligned. I don't think we're going to get 3.3 billion domestic in Q2. I still think we got a shot at 2.8. And look, we're going to have to get an update every week. It's going to come down to the wire. 2.8 is about break even for AMC. That's still a great number. It's better than a negative earnings per share. All right, May, do you have any questions on, do you have any thoughts on a retail bond?
Yeah, I was trying to pull it up, like the debt from the earnings call. But okay, like honestly, that's why I keep saying if you bought a bunch of, if like you have $1 billion laying around and you just bought gift cards, that would be even better because then we wouldn't have to pay the bankers to actually structure that.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like 100% you could, but if you like, so then just to help the conversation a little bit, if you go to, you know what, I went through it on the last quarter because they gave there's a in the 10K there's a debt table that tells you how much debt. I'm trying to find where I put it though. Let me see. Did I do it here? Yeah, I think it might be here. There's a debt table that tells you how much of each debt they have. So they have about Here, do you mind if I share screen really quick?
Not at all.
Okay. So this is a random, when I did the earnings recap, I pulled this. Oh no, this was actually from the quarter because it's March 31st. Okay. So it's this one right here, this 1.19. This is the one I'd like to see Gonzo. It's not due until I think 2000. Yeah, I think it's due 2026. So you got 2 solid years to pay it back. This is the one. So if you have I wasn't joking. If you have $1 billion laying around, because they could pay the 190, but if you have $1 billion laying around, that's the one we'd like to get rid of. The other ones aren't as painful. I mean, this one from Odeon is against what they bought, so it's against physical assets. I think, if I've got it correctly, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but it's really this one that we would like to see Gonzo.
Yep, I agree. Another question for May from It's Your Money. Can a company sell? Actually, I'm going to let Corex answer this because I know he knows the answer.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can a company sell more than 20% of the voting power into our
It's a 242B question.
Oh. Well, 242B doesn't really care too much about if you're selling 20%. I think people, when they bring that up, they're going over the New York Stock Exchange stuff, which I think is more which you've gone over, Tony, before, the different exceptions to that and all the different.
The real answer is it's 17% of the total voting power.
Mm-hmm.
If you look, the voting power is AMC plus APE.
Yep.
And it was 17% what they bought. So that's kind of a red herring argument. It's not a factual argument.
Yeah. But yeah, as far as 242B is concerned, they don't care how much that you sell of what shares. What 242B is that 50% of the total shareholders have to vote in the affirmative.
Okay, I could be wrong in stating it was a 242B, but it's one of those regulations about the 20%.
Yeah, that was the NASDAQ one. And I know when I brought that up in my video, I swiped it from one of your videos because I had no clue.
I went over the exact, whatever it is, I went over it back in February, and I've slept since then. So I'd have to go back. I did cover this exact question back in February.
Yeah, because I had no clue, all that NASDAQ stuff when they were bringing it up. And I'm like, well, I know why it got brought up, because people were mentioning it because Tuttle's first letter mentioned it. And I'm like, what does this matter? It's a Delaware court. What do they care about what the New York Stock Exchange freaking thinks? But
maybe it is an NYSE rule. I honestly don't remember, but I remember I did go over it in a video months and months ago. It's so obscure, and I already FUD busted it that I've moved on and erased
really,
it from the memory banks.
If it was such a big issue, the New York Stock Exchange would have come and served them papers on it. I mean, but they didn't. I know it sucks that this whole situation had to happen. And absolutely. I think we've all been on record saying it was pretty icky, but would you rather be in bankruptcy court right now? Would you?
The problem is, Corex, the people that are answering that question are yelling at the screen. There's no chance we'd be in bankruptcy court because, Corex, they've never once looked at a financial statement.
I can believe it.
If you haven't looked at a financial statement, if you don't understand accounting, you should not, just be repeating what you hear from some clickbaiter.
You can be upset. You can ask questions. Just don't yell at us on a video. That's really my thing.
We're doing our best to give you our opinion, and all of us have spent extensive time looking at the financial statements. We're not just making shit up to scare you. That is legit my opinion, and nobody is paying me to say that. That is my legit opinion based on reading the financials, and I don't often get these things wrong. Is it a guaranteed bankruptcy? No. It depends on how the next 3 quarters go, but it puts us perilously close. And there is $100 million. There's one of the debt covenants has a liquidity minimum of $100 million, in which case you really get fucked if you violate that one.
Yeah.
So we don't want to run out the cash.
So if these are the things that we don't know that could always help. Number one, the movies for the year come in closer to 11 billion. And even then you're still close on cash. You just won't necessarily need to raise right away. Number two, somehow that popcorn's making a whole, the popcorn, perfectly popped popcorn is making even more than we thought. And somehow it's running in cash in some strange way. That's kind of an unknown. That's why I asked that question on Twitter, was like, hey, can you clarify what all these others are
I'd
doing?
love to see some numbers, some breakdown on units sold or something.
Me too.
My model is ready to go. I got another tab with forecasts to drop in popcorn net profits.
Yeah.
And I mean, if they're selling enough units, it could be a meaningful contribution to EPS.
Yeah, because he's never disclosed what the margin is on that, and all of us are guessing.
Yeah, we did get that. It's about 25%.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, yes. That was always what I was estimating, and we had someone go ask him that question, and he kind of gave a wink and a nod.
Okay. I wonder if that's just because he doesn't have larger scale, because I think that those margins are low relative to, say, like a Pop Secret.
I don't think so. Not for a grocery store product.
I would like when he said 25%. I was like, really? That's pretty.
You think of it as high.
Margin on popcorn in a theater is ginormous, right? But when you factor in packaging, product development, shipping,
and then a third
paying the store,
handling it.
I know that popcorn is the highest margin snack.
Yeah, but I think they're counting direct. You know, I think they're counting theater sales in that number. It's I think a misleading statistic. You got to really drill down into the numbers.
No, I mean, like, separately from AMC. I mean, like, in the snacks business, like, you know, I don't know.
Right, but they also are the ones in control of the chain, whereas AMC is going to a third party who's making all the packaging, doing all the shipping. True. They're just putting the branding on it.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel comfortable, saying 25%. I think that's a good conservative estimate.
But if he sold more units, then that is a possibility, because I don't think anyone's really baked that, because he hasn't given any guidance on it. So it'd be really impressive if you were baking it somehow. Like, so that would be the only. Is there anything else that could act? Oh, if for some reason the Fed starts lowering rates and he can get rid of the PIK toggle by refinancing it, that would be, first of all, then he deserves CEO of the year, because he should not be able to, given the way this balance sheet looks right now, he should not have access to capital markets. That would be that would be like the third thing that would allow it, if he could somehow refinance the debt. But that would be like hail to the chief at that point. Like, like
I would give it.
That's like a
5%. Like the way the yield curve keeps looking and the futures markets on the euro dollar futures. Like I've always heard that it's going to be into summer. So like Q3, you might start seeing them have to pull back on rates. So, hey, maybe that's something that's in the future, where end of the year you can look at maybe refinancing.
Damrick says you guys got to start earlier. This was too late for us East Coast. I'm sorry, Damrick. I really almost.
Yeah, we do have to close it. So
I almost didn't.
Clarify.
What, May?
Yes.
I
almost didn't come on live. I almost didn't come on live tonight. Like, I'm really not trying to. There's not much to say about AMC until the June 29th and 30th. But there's just been so much misinformation this week. I literally reached out to May and Corax about 20 minutes before we came on live.
This case does not stop. Like, I want to sit down and do a video on something, and then 3 more things comes out. It's like,
But I mean, the stuff that's coming out is not like earth-shattering, right?
Yeah.
It's mostly just objections getting shot down.
Mostly.
But just
and we already said that was going to happen. So for me, every day is just like a yawner. I already know what's going to happen with the price of the stock. I know that all the objections are mostly going to get shut down, and everything's going to be handled at the end of June. So there's not much to talk about for AMC right now, unless we get some great movie news.
You wanted to re-clarify something on the refinancing?
Yeah, because a lot of people are really focused on the interest rate curve for debt refinancing. It's a little bit misleading, because there's a bigger dynamic for high yield debt. And the bigger dynamic is this. So all debt, you have, so there's the treasury rate, and then there's the spread that that you get over the treasury for high yield. So investment grade and then a high yield spread over that. But the real issue with rates right now isn't that you've got two. You've got first the issue that the banks can't lend right now, period. They can't buy any of the debt. And so, and they actually have to lower their de-risk in general. So the capital market for debt specifically is closed, except for very specific types of debt, of which high yield is not one. So
it's a risk.
It's riskier, and also the hurdle rate over and above just like there's just too many better investments for it. So you could take, for example, the 4% rate. Everybody thinks, oh, the 4% rate. But what a lot of people do on that 4% rate is they borrow money to then invest it in the 4%. So they get a blended 8%. So you actually have to hurdle over. If their highest debt is at 12%, you would need, and you can take the treasuries and just lever them and get 8%. There's no way any high yield fund is any high yield debt is getting refunded at 12% if this is what your balance sheet looks like. That's the issue. So you really need a massive decrease in rates in order for them.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like, I don't know how massive it's going to be. I'm not saying, I haven't seen one of these like yield curve blow ups or where we've got the inversion, but I mean, that's at least from people smarter than I am. That's what I hear is like, it seems like they're in their mind, they're already pricing in that this is going to come down hard and fast. So I don't know. We'll see, I guess. We'll see.
May, do you want to talk about if the AI bubble is propping up the NASDAQ?
I don't know. I actually think people are just in it because some of those companies have a lot of cash. That's it. So
what's your thoughts on NVIDIA?
I have mixed thoughts on NVIDIA.
I'm trying to decide, step out of the way and see how high it goes, or buy puts.
I've seen everyone talk about buying puts, and that seems like a widowmaker trade right now.
That's why I haven't done it.
But I have to say, as a gamer, as someone who I don't know so much about NVIDIA's AI side and stuff like that, and there's some interesting things that they're doing in the server space working with ARM. But the way I've seen their GPU sales on those graphics cards, it ain't looking hot, Chief. They're having a hard time moving their 4000 series RTX cards. People are just pooped out because
I spent a lot of time, Corex, over this weekend doing a deep dive on NVIDIA and came up with a I don't know what the fuck to do answer.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. It's like this company should be getting punched in the face, but to a certain extent. Like NVIDIA is still a good company. I don't mean like it's going to crash.
I'm not crapping on them. I just don't know if that run up is sustainable. If the management's outlook on 11 billion for next quarter is correct, then it's a legit run up. But if they don't deliver on that, then they're going to get wrecked.
And that's my problem is like, I don't know if especially with the crypto thing kind of collapsed, they're having a hard time moving their graphics cards. AI, I think, is helping keep that price point afloat, but I don't know. I guess we'll see if they make those numbers, but I have real skepticism about that.
All right. Corax and May, question on the screen for you. He says he already knows my answer.
I'm still relatively optimistic. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm still mostly bearish on AMC, but like I told Tony on a previous stream, it's like once things stabilize, once Adam Aaron gets done with however many shares he's going to print, I'd be interested in looking at. Heck, I already said that there's another theater play that I'm currently looking at right now. They just need to get done with their Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Why are you mostly bearish on AMC? You can't just say that and let it hang out there.
Well, I said, like the dilution issue, and they've still got to finish this recovery. And once that's happened, then I'll get in. I'm going to wait for that bottom moment where the corner turn happens. And I think it's coming, but it's not right now.
So it's fair to say we could categorize you as a non-emotional, not bought into any of the hype of the community.
No.
All right. May, what are your thoughts?
I think I actually end up agreeing with you. So number one, it depends where it pins on the reverse split. to answer that question. So if it pins where it should pin, that's fine. If it pins somewhere crazy, then, if it's too low, then it's too low. If it's too high, it's too high. I mean, it's a fair point, right? We don't know what's actually going to happen on the day of the reverse split because there's so much like market mechanics involved with, first of all, the new QSIP and the implications to how, there's a bunch of people that are going to deliver APE shares for AMC shares. And it's unclear when all that clears what's actually left in the rubble of that, given all the...
And the spread is still super wide right now. It's
super
crazy.
wide. So it depends where that thing pins on how I think about it. But your question is long term, so I need to kind of understand long term. If you're thinking like next 6 months, then everything we've said on this call makes it almost impossible to know because there are too many unknowns, and the unknowns are so wide. The unknowns could set it like much higher, or the unknowns could like.
I don't know, and I've said this many times on live streams and in my Discord. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 3 months. A lot rides on how Q2 ends up and the timing of that announcement versus the judge's opinion. But long term, if 2024 is 11, 12 billion domestic box office, then we're looking at a shot at back-to-back positive quarters. And if they were able to do an equity raise and fix the balance sheet in the meantime, then long term for me looks pretty good. But I'm keeping cash on the side because if it does crash during dilution, then I'm going to make a judgment at that time if I want to go in and buy some more.
Yeah, he's saying long-term 2024, 25. Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing really is, AMC's, some companies need to catch a break. What AMC needs to do is stop having terrible luck. That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
To be honest, that's what's really happened to them. They've had the worst possible luck every time. You would think like, oh, nope. So it needs to stop having bad luck. If it can stop having bad luck, then
I lived that in one of my businesses, May, back in 2008. I had started that business, I don't know, in 2003, and I had 5 years of data of work that I was subcontracting. I was like, all right, I'm making a bunch on subcontracting, but if I could purchase these assets, I would, capture all the profit. And so I went and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on assets. And then 2008 happened and my income in that business dropped 90% overnight. Oof. And it was down for a year.
Yeah.
So I feel the pain that AMC is going through. They went and bought a bunch of competitors. They loaded up the debt just like I did. And then they got fucking rug pulled by nothing of their own fault.
Yeah.
So when you guys see me analyzing what happened to Adam Aaron and not throwing him under the rug, I lived that life already in my own personal business. Sometimes you have the best laid plans and the best predictions, and something out of the blue happens like COVID, and you can't forecast for that.
It's your money. You have your order of what happened backwards. So the APE shares fell by 100%, by like 90%, and then he was able to do the capital raise on the debt side. So hopefully that clarifies your order and your timing is off.
Jonathan says, what is the deal with the postcards? The deal, Jonathan, and I'll let Corax and May jump in also, but the deal is there's a lot of clickbaiters telling you that there was a deadline for the postcards. I can tell you with 100% certainty that no one can dispute this. In zero court documents was there a deadline of when they must be in your hands. And if you don't like that, you can yell at Judge Zern. There was a date by which they must be mailed. There was no deadline by which they must be in your hands because nobody controls the USPS. So,
in fact, let me pull this up in a second. See if I can find the ruling.
People that are raising concerns to the court right now saying, I never got my postcard, are being smacked hard by the special master.
If you don't mind me.
You had the gall to write me a letter asking about your postcard. That means you knew about the court case and you've had
I
access
have exactly that thing.
to this data for a month.
Yeah.
So that argument's not going to hunt.
Where basically where she basically said that on May, all the people have complained, and she even points out like the whole Twitter polls and everything. Well, guys, if you're doing these Twitter polls, it's more than likely that you were noticed by AMC by reading their Twitter feed where they posted and gave you notice of the settlement hearing. So you guys are on notice. What are you talking about? And
Carlos says they sent the postcards late. AMC's not sending the postcards. Let's just clear up that bullshit. AMC is not sending the postcards. Your brokers are not sending the postcards. I'm not making shit up. You can read the judge's scheduling order on May 1st. The postcards are being sent by a third party called Strategic Claims Service. They had 5 business days from the scheduling order to contact all of the brokers and get a list of client names and addresses. Then actually they were supposed to do it right away, and the brokers had 5 business days to get the list back to SCS. Once SCS received the list of all of your names and addresses, they had 5 more business days to send the postcards. So that was approximately May 15th. So theoretically, they should have all been mailed by the 15th or so. How long the USPS takes to get them to you? Did all the brokers respond to SCS in a timely manner? We don't know the answers to that. But I can guarantee you it's not because of Adam Aaron. It's not because of AMC that you got your postcard late. The judge agreed to everything that's on here. And if you got a problem with anything, complain to her.
Yeah. And also another thing that people forget, and Chancery Daily brought this up, that as far as postcard notices are concerned, if you're holding the stocks on through a brokerage account, you don't, like personally own them through direct registry or whatever. The technical thing is that the broker is the owner of record. You just don't have it on your account in a street name. And in fact, there's a case like Moreno, one of these that says, therefore, the only record owners entitled to vote is any investor choose to hold the stock in some fashion other than his own name. He thereby assumes the risk involving intermediaries will entail. So if you don't get your postcard because it wasn't directly in your name, the court's going to say tough noogies. That's the risk you took by having your shares being held by Fidelity or whoever.
Carlos is saying, is AMC not going to benefit for sending the postcards late? Look, guys, 99% of the objections being mailed in are going to be turned down. That's just hard facts.
Well,
and,
yeah, not just.
If someone was not paying attention to this stock and had no idea what was going on, there is zero chance that they could mount a intelligent objection, even if they got the postcard 10 days ago, because they're just not tuned in. The most credible chance at mounting an objection is someone that is paying attention. And we have a lot of those people objecting, and they're getting smacked down. So, no, I don't think
you can always just write a letter to, you can always write a letter to them.
Yeah. AMC is not going to benefit from sending the postcards late. People are going to make that argument. I get it. I get the argument. Like there could be that one guy that if he had only known that there was a lawsuit, he could have mounted a credible objection. I don't buy it. If you're not paying attention and you didn't know there was a lawsuit, the chances of you objecting, first of all, you probably didn't vote back in March. You're not watching this stock. You didn't know anything what's going on. How are you going to absorb everything in a couple days and mount a credible objection? People that are intimately involved at this every day, like Tuttle and Ethan and CSI and all these guys, they're attempting to mount a credible
even
objection.
Tuttle got his stuff wrong right away. Like that was pretty easy.
They're attempting. Al from Boston. They're attempting, and they're just getting smacked. So no, I don't think
I wouldn't
that
call them credible to start with.
I mean, I'm just saying, like if anybody had a shot, it was those guys, right?
That's fair. That's fair.
Because they're highly tuned in to what's going on. So I don't think the judge really cares, honestly.
I mean, it was kind of a random citation that he put in there. Because when I read, I think I remember
citation.
The NYSE rule. Because I remember
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I remember it vaguely, and there were a couple other things. The other things made no sense, but then that one citation of that random rule was the only one that I actually had to look up. The rest were two, because there was more than one thing in there. There was, yeah.
Philip, you are correct. If you object, you must state a legal basis for your objection.
And if you've watched my videos, you know the two cases that will give you exactly what that legal basis has to be, which none of those, I don't think they'll make any of the hurdles to be able to push
down.
And
I'm not saying that to like, because I'm trying to FUD anybody out. I just don't think that any of these objectors are going to be able to mount a credible legal objection. They're going to try. They're going to try, and I support their right to try. Right? Yep. Let's be fair. That's their right. Knock yourself out. But I don't see 99% of these objections are going to go nowhere.
Yeah, they're gonna stumble on number 5, which is the amount of compensation as compared with the amount of collectability of a judgment.
It's great for Twitter engagement and views on clickbait videos on YouTube, though. That's really all it's about.
Yeah, it's kind of like a wedding.
And $50 memberships on Al's channel.
Jesus. Yeah, I saw that. It was like, what the heck?
Good for him. Why would, right?
I mean, if you're getting people to pay that much, I mean, I guess, bravo to you, but I got better things to spend $50 on. I could get myself 2 okay bottles of whiskey with that.
Gus says, Tony, do you think AMC will stay below 450 or range up until the court ruling? I think everything, Gus, depends on how the movies do over the next 5 weeks. I have a price target of 411 by Friday for AMC. And I think the catalyst that could change that would be any movie that smashes expectations. And I hope that happens, because I'm invested in the company just like you guys are. I don't want to tell you that I expect the price to go down, but I do expect the price to go down. I'm not going to bullshit you about that. The best thing we could have is a blowout movie. I was hopeful for Little Mermaid. It's not looking like that's going to be. The next big one is going to be The Flash. But meanwhile, we've got a lot of great movies. Scarlett and I, my wife and I, were creating our movie list. She's excited about all the movies that are coming out in the next 5 weeks. She's like, wow, we're going to have a busy summer. Yeah, damn straight. We're going to have a busy summer watching movies. There's a lot of good stuff, but they're not going to be billion-dollar blockbusters, all of it. It's going to be 200, 300, 150. But that all adds up. It's good.
Tuttle isn't suing HYMC Highcroft right now. He was part of a former lawsuit that already had.
Yeah, he sued them, the old company, before it became Highcroft Mining. And I think that got denied.
Who is this guy, Brian Tuttle? I haven't even looked into his background very much.
I haven't looked into it too much. He's really noisy on Twitter. You can't miss him. Trust me.
May I'll send you his Tuttle. I'll send you his Twitter. I'll send you his Twitter name so you can follow him.
Yeah.
But
I need nice, happy, calm in my life. You know what I mean?
As far as
you don't want to meet him.
As far as engaging with him, he likes to argue. So I would just say
definitely part of the QAnon crowd.
He's not a bad guy. Look, I've run across many people that are nice people that the only way they know how to engage is to try and discredit, smear, insult Mike the Marine. But when it comes to someone like Tuttle, I can have a disagreement with him and he can still be an adult about it. So
that's a different Tuttle than what I know.
Well, I'm not saying he's a choir boy, right? He said if he tried to talk legalese with me, it'd be like talking to a kindergartner, which I think is a unfair assessment. But it is what it is. He's entitled to his opinion, but he's at least kept it pretty adult, in my interactions with him. He likes to argue, and I don't have a problem with that. I like to argue too. People have good, if you have opinions and you're passionate about them and you can interact in an adult way, I'm cool with that.
Interesting. All right. Well, it's getting late over here, so I'm going to peace out. Thanks, guys, for including me. Take care.
Thank you, May. Appreciate your time and your insights. And go check out May's. How many, was it like 37 tweets on the 900 pages?
Went through the whole 938. I got so tired of all the smack talk.
I did my community a disservice, May. I just read the documents and said I read them and I see no issue. You went way above and beyond. Guys, go read May's Twitter thread on the 900 pages. Everything that I should have said 2 weeks ago, she laid it out. So go check it out.
Smack talk from the shorts.
Oh yeah.
I was like, why are you doing this? All right, fine. I'll read through it. No big deal.
Thank you, May. Have a good night.
Bye, guys.
And then there were two.
Phineas says, what is your favorite AMC drink? We usually just get a draft beer, Phineas, to be honest. They have mixed drinks. I mean, we've got a full bar at all of our theaters here in Austin, but they're expensive for the mixed drinks. And I'm fine with the draft beer. Even a draft beer, a large one's like $12.
Phew, that's like going to the stadium.
I know.
Prices.
I know. I don't mind doing it for a company that I'm trying to support, but there was a day when I was in college where we'd sneak a 6-pack in.
Maybe I need to move back down to Fayetteville. It's an hour drive for me to the nearest AMC theater where I'm at. But when I was down in Fayetteville, there's at least like 2 or 3 AMC theaters.
In Texas,
college town.
Corax, what state are you in?
Kansas.
All right, Kansas. You're in Kansas too, huh?
Yeah.
All right. So, are you anywhere near Leawood?
Leawood. Yeah, rough.
AMC's headquarters?
Yeah, an hour drive away. Yeah.
So in Texas, we always
Metro.
joke there's a reason we wear boots to sporting events and concerts because it's great for tucking a fifth in. You got that little bit of slack in the top of your boot. You just tuck the bottle in.
Stick the flask down in there.
Yeah. No Bud Light, Harold. What have I been getting? I've been getting lately. Shit, what is that? What is that freaking brewery down in south part of Texas? Sometimes I'll get a Modelo, and there's another brewery. Shit, I can't think of it. There's another beer, a local Texas beer that I get that is sold nationwide. Many of you know it. Corex, do you have any final thoughts you want to share with the folks?
If we're going to talk beers, I mean, Kansas City's got Boulevard. That's usually a pretty good one.
Oh, Lagunitas. That's the one I was trying to think of.
I'll have to go look for that one then.
We have 4 beers on tap. I don't even know what the other 2 are. I think Blue Moon might be one. Lagunitas is one, and Modelo is one. And those are all good choices.
Sounds like
never been a Bud Light drinker. I've talked about that many times.
Those big name brand ones, I'm not a big fan of.
Well, my uncle owned a Miller Lite distributorship, and so I just grew up drinking Miller Lite, and that's the only thing. If I'm drinking a piss water beer, that's the one I'm drinking.
Yeah, there's a couple like small breweries up around here. We got a small, like, I don't want to call it a chain, but like a small family owns different small places called Iron Rail, which follows like the different stops through I think through Kansas that had like rail stations, and they have like a brewery and they do like small batch stuff that's pretty good.
Phineas says, thank you for all you guys do. Hey, Phineas, we appreciate you. We appreciate all of you guys, whether you're watching live tonight, whether you're watching on replay and you stuck all the way to here. I do appreciate it. It is a bit of work to get out, this much fact-based information. And I know there's going to be people beating it up tomorrow saying it's bullshit, but everything that I'm telling you is from the company financial statements. from the court documents. And I understand people have different interpretations of it, but Al is straight up lying to you. Let's just call it like it is. He don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Everybody else, look, I talked about was emails allowed versus a postcard. Look, guys, I'm posting screenshots of a order signed by the judge that says email or postcard is okay. I put the fucking screenshot on Twitter and my community tab. If I was not 100% confident in what I'm posting, I wouldn't post it in the first place. Emails were allowed. Emails were allowed, and the judge signed off on it. She did request that, or require that postcards also be sent. That's why many people that got emails also got postcards. But emails were allowed, and that was signed off on by the judge.
And they even, one of the things that they did allow that was a good call was that if you sent, like, say you still do snail mail, you don't trust email, and you sent your letter out today, even though it doesn't arrive there for however long it takes to get up to Delaware, if it's postmarked today, still.
Did they say that? Is that true?
Yeah,
I was looking for anything.
That was
all I saw.
Few.
Who said that?
That was actually in the special master's letter, because Mr. Affolter brought it up, and even though they did not get the time extension or what that they wanted, the 2 extra weeks, the special master did say if it's postmarked, well, it's yesterday now, but on the 31st and it doesn't arrive for whenever, UPS lost it in shipping, whatever, and it gets there before everything, like say it shows up 3 days late, they'll still accept it as long as it's postmarked the 31st or
it's
before.
Unfortunate that people don't even trust like the email. Like if I was going to do it, I would email it personally.
Yeah. 100%.
But people don't trust the email, yada, 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 whatever. I do recall, now that you're mentioning that, reading that sentence in the special master's letter, and that's good if that is true, that they're going to honor that. But at this point, the objections period is closed.
Yes.
So now what's next on the schedule? By, I think, let's see if I can recall from memory, June 7th, the plaintiff and the defendant have until June 7th to submit their response to objections. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then by another 7 days, I think the special master is going to give a report. Is that correct? And then we roll into June 29th and 30th, and the judge is going to hear, she's going to really hear everything. Like, that's when you're really going to know what the judge thinks, right?
And it's always like, I want to get one of those days off so I can like listen to it, even though I couldn't, drive up there, because it's, even though I'm fairly certain the way things are going to go, you can usually get a good feeling for what the judge is feeling based on the questions they start asking. In some of these cases, I don't know if it's, since it's a settlement hearing, if they read off their support for the settlement and then open themselves up to questions from the judge, but you can get a pretty good tell on where the judge is heading on a certain thing by the questions they start asking.
I made an early suggestion early on in this whole thing. Like, if you want to object and you want to have a shot, hire counsel that's familiar with the Delaware Chancery Court. I know that's a big ask because they're expensive, but this is why I think 99% of the objections are going to get tossed out, because people are swimming in the ocean with the big fish, and they have no real, they don't really know what they're doing. They think they can go pro se in the Delaware Chancery Court, and I'm not knocking anybody. I wish them all luck. That is your right, and I wish you luck. If you make it all the way through the hurdles, more power to you. But I think I'm pretty smart. I would never go to court pro se. Never. I would always hire counsel.
And the
because they're worth their weight in gold, just from a level of expertise and knowledge of the case law. So I just think that most of the objections are going to get tossed.
Well, yeah, and the one person who did, have the wherewithal to get a lawyer, they're the one that had the biggest news. They're the only one that signed the to look at the disclosure stuff that was held behind the wall, and start formulating their arguments and everything, because they know what they're doing. They know what they got to do to even have a shot at fighting this. And what I think is going to be the biggest problem is these people who are following these YouTubers. Oh, hey, I'm building this, settlement letter. All you have to do is put your name on it. That NPC meme where you got all the gray people holding their shoulders saying, and they are all saying the same thing together. That's what it's going to look like to the judge when you all send in those letters, and they're going to take one of those arguments and the rest are going to get tossed out, because at the end of the day, that's what you did. It doesn't improve your argument to have a bunch of people send in the same thing.
And that's not us being dicks. That's just like these letters are not going to meet they're not going to meet the very basic hurdles that the court have set up. And secondarily, they're addressing things in these letters that is not part of this case, which is why you're seeing all of this shit getting smacked down. The case is about one thing. Was APE legal? And now there's a settlement. So you need to object to the settlement. If you're bringing up anything else, you're going to get tossed.
Yeah.
It's really that simple. I'm not trying to be a dick. It's that fucking simple.
And at
why?
The end of the
what
day,
is your legal basis for objecting to the settlement?
Yeah. And I, we've gone over the legal basis. I've gone over it with Tony. I've gone over it in my videos. And really, at the end of the day, the biggest hurdle that you're going to have the biggest trouble with is that let's just say that at the end, they go back to it. Okay. What's the chances that you're going to collect on a judgment on a company that has the risks that AMC has? And if the answer is 0, then that means that you need to prove to the court that the settlement is worth 0 or less than 0 to even have a ghost of a chance of winning at a settlement hearing. And if you can't do that, like Tony said, not trying to be an asshole, but anything short of that, you're wasting your time.
Justin says they're going to be tossed like a salad. Oh, Lordy. All right. What time is it, Corax?
It is
1 o'clock. You're in the same time zone as me, right?
Yeah.
All right, guys. I don't have any big plans tomorrow other than waking up as early as I can to watch pre-market, but I don't have any pre-market stocks I'm trading tomorrow. So I'll wake up when I wake up, and I'll see y'all in the Discord. Hey, Corax, do you know what's going on with Docket Alarm? Did they figure out?
I don't know.
Did they figure out your back end run with the incognito?
I think that a bunch of us were doing that, and that's probably what it was. They just stopped updating it because they know we were all taking them for a ride.
Yeah,
that's the only explanation that comes to mind for me.
It's become really difficult to get free access to the court documents. Like, just for me to do a search on.
Oh, I know.
It was like $20, and then they're like, "Oh, if you want to download this one document, there's like 10 documents. If you want to download this one, that'll be $40."
Yeah, that's why I just wait for Chancery Daily, or I find someone else that posts it. That's how I've gotten most of them, and it's why I like covering these cases that aren't in the Delaware Court of Chancery, because last time we were talking about how cheap Pacer was. It's like yeah.
And you can't do Pacer on a Delaware Chancery Court.
Nope, that's all.
So
only federal.
I've been a little bit slow updating my Discord on the documents, but it's because we lost access at a reasonable price, and I am not going to pay $40 to see a bunch of Al fucking bullshit.
His 300-page.
I'll just wait for the judge to deny it, and download that one. Yeah, anyways, guys, Corax, thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate you. The mods that were in here tonight, the subs, the subscribers, the regular viewers of the channel, we love you. First time here, we love you too. Thanks for giving us a shot. I know that a fact-based channel is not everybody's dream. It's not easy to listen to, especially if you've been hooked on that sweet, sweet hopium. This is a slap in the face, but I'm not here for views. I'm not here for clicks. If I was, I'd be putting out 5 clickbait videos a day. I'm the opposite of clickbait. When there's something worth saying, I'll come on and say it. So I hope you see the difference. And if you can't right now, it might take you a couple years to realize the people that you're listening to, the clickbaiters right now, are feeding you a bunch of bullshit. But just hang out and listen, and you're welcome. You're welcome to hang out. I'm an acquired taste, Corex.
Hopefully they find out sooner rather than later, because like I said, we may be in for a bit of a ride.
Yeah, I mean the worst thing that I want is to see people lose money by listening to people that couldn't, explain a financial statement if their life depended on it. You're going to lose all your money listening to these dipshits. And I don't say that to be mean, but they're dipshits. Buy a Mullen. It's a pretty car.
Riding it all the way down to zero is not good financial acumen.
Ignoring one share being at $1.62 and the other $4.50, that's probably not going to work out very well for you. Just saying, keeping it real. Thank you, guys. Have a good night. We love you. And we will see you on the next one as soon as there is something important to say. Correct. Thank you.
Later.